Mr. Bonanno, Nigel Evangelista. Christopher Kelly.
Here.
Lawrence Cunningham.
Here.
Nicholas Lima.
Here.
Jennifer Almeida.
Here.
Anike Exelon. Here. Sean Andrews. Indina Magna.
Here.
Sorry if I killed your name. Edward Pratt.
Yeah.
Aaron Collins.
Here.
Joshua Gare.
Here.
Kurt Leonidas. Desmond Resendes.
Here.
Christopher Volkey.
Here.
Aaron Buckley.
Here.
Nicole Leslie. Amanda Dion.
Here.
Tyler Patterson. James Spinner.
Here.
Katie James. Travis Escobar.
Here.
Mariana Cavalli.
Here.
Jeremy Agumba.
Here.
Thomas Lima.
Here.
Shelley Joy Dooley.
Here.
Gary Penfield.
Here.
Derek Nicholas. Scott King.
Here.
Mr. Weiss. Melissa Pantolino.
Here.
Charles Pemsola. Randy Jackson.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everyone. Our first order of business on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Is there any discussion? Yes, Ms. Sullivan.
I'd like to remove from new business B, Greek Council. Motion to,
Motion made by Ms. Almeida, seconded by Mr. Laguerre to remove new business items B, Greek Council. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Abstentions, motion carries. Mr. Evangelista.
I would like to add to old business election policies.
Old business item B.
Motion.
second,
Is that motion? I'll second.
Motion is made by Mr. Evangelista, seconded by Mr. Escobar. Is there any discussion?
what is it?
It's old business item B, elections policy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Abstentions, motion carries. Further discussion? Yes, Mr. Holland.
I was wondering, last week there was an item removed from the agenda, or how many campus police. Does Brown wish to discuss that tonight, or?
So Mr. Buckley's Mr. Buckley, did you want that one back on the agenda tonight? Or
The gun proposal?
You want to hold off on it? Well, let's go make a motion to add to the agenda. It's not on the agenda tonight.
Will we discuss it at a future meeting?
Well, it could be discussed tonight if we decide to add it to the agenda, or we'll be discussing it future meeting. Mr. Buckley. Your choice.
If you don't mind, I'd like to make a motion to add it to the agenda under old business.
It'll be new business, sir.
Or the new business.
I know, what do you want?
So I'd like to make a motion to add to the agenda.
Motion to be made by Mr. Howard and seconded by Mr. Laguerre to add old business item C, Army Campus Police. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Motion carries. Further discussion on the agenda. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item of business is the open forum. Is there anyone present for the open forum? You raise your hand first.
Yeah. I think we're together. We're kind of together. I just wanted to, first, I know a lot of you have already harassed about it. I'd like you to show up at the basketball games this weekend. Dr. King, I know he'll be there. He's always there. You're glad you're there. Usually he is. So he'd like you to be there. But the other side of it is, and it's this, Steve, we're actually going to be doing something with all three of the media groups, and they're kind of involved with it, kind of through the radio station, just by being there, giving us equipment. We're going to broadcast the game live over the radio, but we're also going to do the game on TV. It's going to be kind of Anchor TV's kickoff. Joe Roblard and I are going to do play-by-play. Steve's going to be there to videotape. We've spent way too many hours this week with the NCAA getting all of that approved. So today we were actually, CBS Sports gave us the broadcast rights. So we're going to, Anchor TV will be the sole TV station that has the rights to cover Ric basketball through the tournament. So they did a lot of work today, and I just wanted to let everybody know that they're up and running. They were good to work with this week. They got a lot done. I'd like to see you at the game if you can, Friday at 6. It's the first time game against MIT. So we'd like to see you there. If not, tune into the radio or watch it on Ric TV.
Thank you, Mr. Spaulding. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Rice?
No, I just wanted to say that any support that you've given to us right now, we're really trying to get this together. We're hoping to get support from the IT people and whatnot to get this on the air. We are going to be asking for them over the next 48 hours to get that channel up on the air from nothing. So hopefully that works out.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rice and Mr. Spaulding. Is there anyone else present for the open forum? No one else here present for the open forum? We'll move on to the agenda to folks' announcements. The President is ill tonight. The Vice President, National Evangelist, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you. The first announcement I had was I had a phone call today from Joan Fusco, informing me about the Higher Education Day that is held at the State House March 25th, which is a Wednesday, from noon to 4, and it's set up by the Board of Governors, and it's a showcase to the legislators of it's basically a student presentation of what's going on their 3 campuses, the Board of Governors, CCRI, Ric, and URI. Joan Fusco with the PR department is trying to put together, and like SCG Parliament members to be there. At least she's looking for 8 to 10 of us to be there to do a grand unveiling of Rhode Island College's new slogan tagline, if you will, which she did not reveal to me what it is yet. So it's maybe Dr. Penfield or Dr. King, maybe. But she specifically said it's going to be, the theme will be a Hollywood unveiling. She asked for us to, come in dark suits or gowns, if you will. They even will go rent tuxedos for us. And they want us to wear top hats too, the males. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous, I think. I don't know
Can I just ask, where do you find the top hat?
They're going to get it for us, so.
You can find it.
So I don't, if anybody's interested, please talk to me after the meeting, and I'll sign you up, and I'll talk to Jay the next 2 days or so. So I would like to see many people there. I don't know about top hat stuff.
Ms. Almeida, then Mr. Holland.
What time is it?
From noon to 4 on March 25th.
Okay.
25th.
Alright. At the State House, yeah.
March 25th.
What exactly is the purpose of the event? They showcase, maybe Dr. Penfield and Dr. King try to speak on it eventually, but every year, they have, the Board of Governors have a Higher Education Day at the State House to showcase students. Yeah. Is there anything you did, student presentation, kind of?
I don't know the specific.
Yeah, I don't know, she knows you have to choose specific. Basically, just, they're,
I can elaborate a little bit further.
Yeah,
The last few years as well, the nursing department will have explained to showcase what they do. Athletics will have a setup there to showcase what the athletic departments accomplish. Various students will have charts and whatnot available, and the music PR department always has some sort of presentation to make. Last year they had a cake because it was our 50th anniversary of the Rhode Island College campus. I guess this year they're doing the slogan unveiling. 3 years ago, we all went ahead as 1950s era reporters. We all worked indoors and stuff. It's all to draw attention from the legislators at the State House. They know that we're there and we're doing things.
If we want to go, we have to wear what they want us to wear.
She said we can wear suits or, she said also we have better ideas than that. But I'm assuming because she didn't give me the tagline that this has to do with the tagline. I don't know. But she said if anybody wants to come up with a better idea, she can call this for it. So I mean, anybody who wants to call, we'll talk about what we would like to do. And start talking, negotiating, whatever. That wasn't a big thing.
I'd like to wear regular clothes.
Yeah.
I'm all for a top hat in town.
That's
it.
I got him.
All right, moving on. I've been in email conversations with one person at bigpulse.com to reiterate what that is. That's the online voting system. It's one company, So he's going to be answering some questions I had for him. But I've also been on the American Student Government Association website looking up more research on what the online voting system is. They have many of their colleges that are part of this ASGA have said it might take 4 months or more to get it really implemented. And if you're trying to do it in a month, it won't work. And that's what my goal was, to try to get it done by April. So hopefully I can find more research and have it so that the next vice president running the elections next year for the freshman elections, it'll be up and running for us. So I will be hoping to be putting that in place for the next freshman election, just based on the research I've done. It should take some time with security issues and information out there. They don't want to just begin with information out like that. So that's everything I've been working on so far the last week or so. I have the election policy coming up later tonight, so I'll talk on that later. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Evangelista. The Secretary of Student Community Government Incorporated, Lawrence Cunningham, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just have a few brief announcements tonight. First, things are moving along nicely regarding the Storgies. They will take place on Friday, May 1st at the Providence Marriott. And the menu has been finalized as voted upon by SOC. Also, I have received a contract, which I'll be finalizing and completing in the near future. Secondly, I'm scheduled tomorrow afternoon to meet with Alex Devers, the president of RSA. We're going to discuss business in the residence halls and how to ensure more open and frequent communication between RSA and student government. And finally, we've had a bit of success over the course of the past year with guest speakers coming to Parliament meetings. To that end, I've invited Hetty Benaika, the new library director of Adams Library, to address Parliament, and he should be willing to do so sometime before the end of the semester. And that concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. The Treasurer of Student Community Government, Christopher Kelly, Mr. Treasurer. Thank you.
Again, I'm all for tuxes, but that's another story. We just finished our weekend of budget hearings. Things went very smoothly. I can honestly say for the first time in my knowledge, a club showed up and asked us to take away their budget. I've never heard of that happening before. Women's studies asked for their budget to be removed, so we did so. But other than that, everything went very smoothly. We cut a very large amount out of the budget, small amount more than we needed to, but that means, basically all that means is that we have more money to give away next year before we go into our retained earnings, which is definitely a good thing. That's pretty much all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. I just have a couple of brief announcements. Bylaws and Education Commission members that are present, if you could just see me after the meeting. We've got a couple issues pending, so I would like to schedule a meeting at some point, so I need to get everybody scheduled together. We had a tough time doing that earlier this semester. I do have a plethora of leaves. Just 5 minutes in here. Nicole Bentley would like to put in a late leave due to an exam that finished late.
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Escobar, seconded by Ms. Candelina. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions. Mrs. Bentley abstains, the motion carries. Dear Parliament, regretfully, I must request a leave for tonight's meeting due to sickness. Thank you, Hayden Jane.
Motion. Second.
Motion made by Mr. Escobar, seconded by Mr. Spitter. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions. Motion carries. Dear Parliament, if the meeting exceeds 10 o'clock p.m., I will need to take an early leave at 10 o'clock p.m. Thank you, Nike Akinbalumo. Motion by Mr. Evangelista, seconded by Mr. Cunningham. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. They do have it. Motion carries. Okay. Abstentions.
I still have it.
Mrs. Dooley and Ms. Akinbalumo abstain. I apologize. Twice. Dear Parliament, I would like to ask for a retroactive leave for the town hall meeting due to a conflict of schedule with practice. Shane Spinner. Actually, hey, you don't need to leave for the town hall meeting, actually. Well, you need to leave, but you don't need to have it moved by policy. Short Andrews would like to press a late leave for 8 o'clock p.m. tonight. Waspa has an event. Thanks, Short Andrews.
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Escobar, seconded by Mr. Leonidas. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? The ayes appear to have it. They do have it. The motion carries. Mr. Bonanno needs a lead for tonight's meeting as he is ill.
Motion.
Second.
Made by Mr. Agumba, seconded by Kira. Mrs. Bentley, is there any discussion? Okay, no discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. No one opposes? Why are you raising your hand?
No.
All right, let's try this one more time. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Abstentions? Motion carries. Mr. Escobar and Mr. Evangelista voted no. Dear Paul, due to a midterm and myself feeling sick with pink eye conjunctivitis, I will be unable to attend tonight's meeting. I had in the Army. It's pretty rough. Sincerely, Kyle Patterson. Motion made by Mr. Laguerre, seconded by Ms. Akamulumbo. Discussion.
Yeah, he wasn't downstairs.
In the cafe, hold on. It's going to be highly contagious. Discussion, Dr. Kane.
I thought I passed him on the way in.
Further discussion? Okay, no further discussion. All those in favor of the leave, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. No. We're going for a hand vote. All those in favor of the leave, please raise your hand. 1, 2. Raise your hand high. Keep it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Order. Let's lock it up a little bit. All those in favor, say raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in favor. All opposed, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Abstentions. Ms. Akamulumbo, Mr. Spinner, Ms. Almeida, Mrs. Bentley, and Ms. Resendez abstain, and the motion passes. Dear Paul, I'd like to request an early leave for this meeting. If this meeting goes after 11 o'clock p.m. due to transportation, he has to leave.
Motion. Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Bentley, seconded by Ms. Akamulumbo. I'm sorry, this is for Christopher Paulson. Is there any discussion? Motion by Mrs. Bentley, seconded by Ms. Akamulumbo. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Wake up, everybody. All opposed, no. Abstentions. Mr. Volsky abstains, and the motion carries. And one more. Two more. Due to a fractured toe, I would like to request a leave for tonight's SCG meeting. Thanks, Marissa Weiss. Motion made by Mr. Laguerre, seconded by Ms. Resendez. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions. Motion carries. Dear CG, I apologize for my tardiness. My nonprofit class got out late. Sincerely, Kevin Leonidas. Motion made by Mr. Evangelista, seconded by Ms. Cantalina. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions. Mr. Leonidas abstains. The ayes appear to have it. They do have it. Motion carries. That concludes my announcements. Thank you, everyone. Now the Deputy Speaker speaks. Parliament, Joshua Laguerre, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
My announcements will be brief. Conditioning services did meet this week. We're basically still in the process of compiling the data. It's really technical, and I have my psych majors and researchers helping with that. So when we come back from Parliament, from spring break, we should have at least a rough draft ready and then a final draft for Parliament. And I just want everyone to make sure you look outside. In the past, the lights outside, the black lights that are posted inside the quad were not working. I talked to Dr. Ivy Locke, and for some odd reason, Dr. Pettifer was there when I was asking about it. They're working now, so conditioning services is making progress. We have some lights working in the quad, so that's a great thing. So conditioning services is making progress, and that concludes my announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Our next order of business on the agenda is reports, bylaws, minutes of 2909. I will be passing the gavel to the Deputy Speaker to present the minutes to the body. This was the final public hearing of the Bylaws Commission. We held 3, much to the chagrin of the commission members, but we held 3. These minutes are very thorough and very long. Ms. Cavalli should be commended. She took the minutes and did an outstanding job capturing just about what everybody said very effectively, and spent a good deal of time typing these up. Myself and Joan went through them and had to make almost no changes, so she did a fine job on that. Again, the commission findings are in the report and the reasoning that they came to those findings. That will be discussed later on in the agenda, and we'll ask Mr. Collins' advice on what to do next with the conflict of interest proposal. That'll be later on in new business. But beyond that, I'd like to make a motion to receive the minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Motion.
I made the motion.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Speaker, seconded by Mr. Kelly. All those in favor? Or, sorry, discussion.
Yes, did you, I'm not sure if you was, but did you ever figure out how many people testified for you?
No, but I can tell you that the only person that testified against it was, there were two people that testified against it, Mr. Holland and Mike Simeone. People who testified for it were Ms. Pantalina, yourself, Mr. Leonidas, Mr. Andrews,
Mr. Rivera.
no, he was on the commission, Mr. Escobar,
Why you playing me? That's Escobar over there.
and Mr. Evangelista. Usually he sits over there.
You're doing that mistake.
I believe that was it. Yes, they did.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the bylaws minutes? Aye.
Aye.
All those in favor of approving the bylaws minutes say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Next order of business on the agenda is old business, Stony Awards policy. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So this is an updated version of the Story Awards policy that was tabled at the last meeting and returned to SOC. Rather than going through it step by step, I'll just alert you all to the changes that have been made at the last SOC meeting. Mr. Kelly was present, he offered some input, Mr. Evangelista did as well. So number one, all of the awards have had descriptions added to them, just for clarity's sake. In addition to that, we've also, for under number 6, so Article 3, Section 6, we've actually made a slight alteration because we're doing this electronically to the nomination process, and that was actually, I believe, Ms. Cavalli's suggestion, that we're actually going to have the top 3 nominations in each, so any nominating club may submit a maximum of 3 nominations for each category, and that's going to be made available through Ms. Weiss's electronic voting, and that should also serve as sort of a test run for the SCG elections, which neither will into that in the future. In addition to that, for the planning section, just add a few items there. Number one, when Mr. Kelly was at the meeting, he suggested a cap, so that appears under Article 6 as well. The annual budget request presented to finance shall not exceed $16,000. However, this amount shall be revisited every 3 years, obviously with different clubs being more active on campus, perhaps increasing or decreasing. In addition to that, possible changes in the student activity fee and or tuition rates that may need to be revisited. So we both agree we should evaluate that every 3 years. And in addition, just some things that kind of common sense, but doesn't hurt to come in the adjustment case, that on an annual basis, SCG shall explore the option of hotel accommodations for those who wish to stay overnight. We did that last year. We're able to get a group rate discount. And in addition to that, it shall also explore the option of providing transportation for those attendees that do not drive. And finally, just added to the special awards section, clearly stating that the executive board members cannot win most dedicated parliament member. And furthermore, under the RSVP section, it's suggested, though not required, that when a nominated club submits its final ballot, that it should include its RSVPs at least tentatively. And also, we've altered it in the past. It's been 4 members plus the advisor, or 5 members. But since many clubs do have a 5-member executive board, we actually agreed to alter that to 6 members, or 5 plus the advisor, and after that, 5 members from all other clubs on a first-come, first-served basis. So I'll now open the floor for discussion. Policy.
Discussion, Mr. Lear.
What's the budget for the story?
This year was actually just under 14,000, and that was also in the ballpark of last year. It was actually less than Secretary Bonanno had requested, and only slightly more than we ended up paying. Mr. Kelly?
Last year's stories requested $15,000. We spent about $13,700. This year we're requesting $13,900 to deal with more clubs. And if you remember last year, we had a number of unfilled tables and quite a bit of food left over, so we should be all set. We should have around $2 to $3 grand to play with for the next few years. I don't see us spending an additional $2,000 for a few extra clubs unless something major goes on.
So you feel the $16,000
That's and I mean, I'd be comfortable if Parliament would like to raise it to 20. That's still not way out of bounds, but if it is raised to 20, I would suggest reevaluating every 5 years instead of every 3 years.
Further discussion? Mrs. Bell?
I'm just formatting an Article 4, Section 5 and 6, just in case. And in Article 5, it says, by the third week of March, Parliament shall conduct an anonymous ballot. Are we going to do that today, or?
This year, the third week of March would be the week of the 18th, so presumably we could do that at the next following meeting on March 18th.
Oh, so 5. Thank you.
Mr. Holland?
I'm all set, please.
Further discussion on the Story Awards policy? I will entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Is that Mr. Escobar make a motion?
Motion. That was it.
I heard something over there. Mr. Laguerre made the motion to approve.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Almeida.
Can we get in?
All right.
You're
I
on the
apologize.
wrong side of the table.
Please raise your hand if you made the motion to approve. Please raise your hand if you made the second. All right, motion made by Mr. Laguerre and seconded by Mrs. Bettler. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the Story Award policy, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Motion carries. Next order of business is new business, item A, constitutions. Mr. Secretary.
You skipped mine.
I apologize, I skipped 2 things. Our next order of business is old business item B, elections policy, Mr. Vice President.
How come yourself?
Don't listen to him. Maintain complete silence.
I like people looking
Mr. Evangelista has the floor.
All right, everybody. For those that don't know, one of my main goals last year was to update the election policies. At the end of the year, I changed the social security number on the petition to Apple IDs, changed the way you don't take petitions out in office hours, and this is one of the final things for this year so far that I'm looking to do. If you'll all look over, I'll go through based on the PowerPoint, go over what's going on. Basically, this is in front of you. This is the sheet that everyone we have to go through to take out a petition. We have it set up. You want to take on general management, you put your name up in the orange, brownish section of who takes it out, and then who actually fills it, gets to fill the seat. This is just our record. And this also shows every major that is on that we recognize so far in SCG that you can fill the seat. So I wanted to go through that real quick to let you know over what the new policy is, because there has never actually been in the election policy the actual way the constituencies are supposed to be set up. So the first 4, A through D, are just basic what we've done for the last forever, from what I understand. So, A states that each major will be set up in categories in constituencies known as humanities, mathematics, physical science, social science, education, at-large residence hall, at-large computer, by-law positions, and non-resident student reps. Through that, B states that each constituency has subcategories of where the majors are set up, and then C states that their majors have subcategories that break down what the majors really are. D, boom, now we're moving on to E. E is where the rules actually start changing. For a long time, it's always been specific that you're gonna take up something at President Hall, something I want to see somebody. What's yours? Special education. All right, thank you. I'm gonna read yours. It's always been known that you're gonna represent a specific small group like art education. And we found for a long time, especially this last year and the years to come, it's been very hard for students to take our petitions because it's just, they come back and it's not valid because their classes, a lot of classes overlap. For example, I was a business student for a long time and I take classes with economics majors, finance majors, accounting majors, and I go there looking for just specific marketing majors, and then I have everybody in class sign it and I don't have enough validated signatures because not everybody is marketing. And it runs into a problem where no student wants to bring it back, and then we have 60 petitions taken out, and only 20, 30 people actually come back with them. And we had about 60 taken out this year, and so we have left over who's actually here. So, speaking with the Elections Commission, we decided that we feel that it's best to now, in a sense, consolidate it, in the sense that now, for example, we're looking at arts, it's right there, will be, all the majors will be in that art section will be now condensed into one art representative. So instead of it saying, for example, Jen says special education should be an education at large, or almost in a sense at large, if you will. So now, if you look at the numbers, I redid the numbers. So we add all the numbers together and then get 25% of that, and the number is signatures. However, there's many cases now the pool is so large, 25%, if you see your art, is now 78 people you need to sign. What the rule states is that you cannot exceed 50 signatures. That's been a rule for I don't know how long. So now the new rule, if you look at F, the number of signatures will be based on 25% of the total number of students, when the total number will not exceed 50 signatures. If the number is lower than 50 signatures, it is not a whole number. It will be rounded to the nearest whole number. So now I'm going to show you this engineer. Let me go down. That's not a whole number. 49, right there you go. So 49.25, there should be 49 signatures. Somebody did music and dance would need. So in essence, no longer will somebody just be representing music, they'll be representing music and dance in that constituency. Hopefully this will alleviate some of the stress and pressure it is to get signatures. As you can see, the one other change I would like to make is by the sense of consolidating. I found doing some research that if we were to consolidate speech, communications, and theater, it would still be very hard for this person in communications and theater to find theater majors in Whipple. I've had one class with one student that was a theater major. Theater is actually in the same building as music education, music dance, dance and performance. So I wanted to move, the commissioner probably move theater to music and dance, if anybody's okay with that. So that would change that a little bit.
I think the reason for that is theater used to be in the same department, communication is all department, and
Okay.
they split it up.
Okay, well, now it's over there. So everybody's okay with that? Okay, is everyone okay with that? Move that? Good. So it only moved now. All right, so I would, do I now motion? Everybody's really.
You don't need a motion to change that, the elections.
No, I'm talking about.
The whole, all the changes?
Yeah, I mean, does everybody have any questions at this point? I think I went through it. You have worked on this with me. Why are you going to ask a question?
I have a statement.
Go ahead, state. Please state something.
I have a statement. As one of your final acts
Yes.
as vice president, since you're graduating,
Yes.
I feel that this is something that will better the student body and hopefully bring a day that Parliament is full capacity. That's all I wanted to say, Mr. Vice President, and I go evangelist.
Jumped his ego up about 10 notches. Didn't know that.
Any other questions?
Further discussion or questions from Mr. Evangelista?
So we should be putting this this week.
So,
Go ahead.
I'm watching the changes. So what's the changes?
The changes is so, it's not, so hard to get to, it's so.
We're not gonna do, we're gonna do music and theater
Yeah.
as a one
Yeah.
total category as opposed to each individual degrees within that.
Yeah.
And so my other question would be on letter F. It says, if the number is lower than 50 signatures and is not a whole number, it will be rounded to the nearest whole number. So if it's 49.5,
Yeah.
what's the nearest whole number?
Well, nice, I remember that George Brown High, when it's at 5.
But it's not the nearest whole number. It's too near. I think.
Have order, please. There's a lot of side conversation. Dr. King is asking a
I
question.
always want to go with 5 and go up.
Pretty clarity.
Ms. Dion.
Could I yield the floor to Barry Nickerson?
Hey, my man Barry,
Hey,
actually,
how's
it's
it
a great
going?
example. I actually was thinking of you when I was writing.
Alright, I've been on elections, this is like my 5th semester on the Elections Commission, and I actually wasn't present at the meeting this was drafted, so I do have to ask. Oftentimes, myself, I'm having a pain in the ass time trying to get on Parliament because my constituency is mathematics, and that doesn't include intended majors in the mathematics secondary ed, it also doesn't include elementary ed mathematics majors, it doesn't include computer science majors. That leaves the little pool of math bachelors that have some less, I think. So I was just wondering how this new policy would affect people who are nursing, social work, and intended secondary education and elementary education majors, and what constituency they fall under, and how their majors are represented in Parliament.
Yeah. Well, for your example, Barry, you actually fall into the computer science, so you would be able to get computer science people to sign your petition too. With your example, I did find that you fell under there. But intended majors, that's always been a rough area. We still have, like, this is not, like, I've told people, I've talked before about this is not the, it's not the cure-all for the problems we have. And it still needs to be adjusted, but it's a step in the forward process to make better. But nursing was still, it's its own category. It's a school of nursing, a school of social work. They're their own separate schools, so they still have their own categories, unlike the other majors. And in essence, this makes the playing field more even, in the sense that, at large, you need 50 signatures, and this actually turns into a lot more people need 50 signatures to get a problem. Like school management, everybody needs 50 signatures to get on there, but this new rule goes back.
Right, yeah, and are the freshmen and sophomores who are intended majors, are they eligible to sign the petitions now, or are they still?
The intended major is still, that's a tough rule right now. I don't know where to go to address that. That's probably the next vice president.
Mr. Kelly.
Would there be a way, just to address Barry's concern, would there be a way to write something up for undeclared students that are out of seat for undeclared?
There is,
I know it
That's,
kind of falls
we have 5 at large seats.
Yeah, I know it falls under at large, but would it be, at large could be somebody in management or nursing anyway. Would it be okay to have a seat? Or at least one?
that's actually bylaws. It would go, that procedure would actually go through bylaws, and that was something we did address in the election commission. But at this point, this change right now would affect the initial filing period. That's what we're trying to go is to get for the initial filing period to get past that. We have gone through with the elections commission, have talked about many changes, adding seats, taking away a lot of seats to adjust it because education is a department where there's only 2 seats right now available in the education constituency, and we wanted to take something away from at large, and that was a discussion, and it actually got to some debate whether we should do that or not. So at this point, this is where we have been able to have some fair ground, we feel. So, but there is some talks, and hopefully the beginning of next year when the new vice president comes in, because I will be passing all the changes that we did want to make, then next vice president, let him or her know that these are the changes that could possibly still be made, but based on the track record of bylaws, and how long some things take to get passed by bylaws, they would never happen by initial filing period. And that's what we want to make this change for the initial filing period. Question, I see you raising your hand.
Obviously, me and Sarah Joy are in the social work majoring, so
Yes.
we have our own school.
Yes.
A lot of the students are undecided, especially before junior year.
Yeah.
Is there any way that you can add on that the master's students could sign our petitions?
We have graduate student seats.
Yeah, there's a lot of it has a lot to do with bylaws, so that's why I keep looking over nicknames, because he knows where the issue lies with bylaws. We do have a graduate seat, and that's where they would fall under is the graduate seats to be validated, have a valid signature.
I got that.
I got to get my foot in there.
I just want everyone to know that.
Mr. Legere? Oh, we all set?
Good job.
Any further discussion?
Good job,
Did we have a motion yet?
I don't know.
Motion?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Resende, seconded by Mr. Aguba.
Hey.
Further discussion? Yes, Mr. Hopper.
The motion is to
To approve policy. And just to note, you have your copy edit, format it right.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna make it look nice.
Couple of dramatic things there. All right, motion made and seconded to approve the changes or additions to the elections policy, commission policy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Mr. Spinner abstains, and the motion carries. All right.
The reason I wanted to add this item to the agenda is at the last parliament meeting, there was a resolution stating that student parliament voted on the campus police. I don't have extra copies with me right now, but I was unaware that parliament had reached this decision. Would someone be kind enough to explain why parliament voted on the campus police?
Well, the resolution was proposed by Mr. Buckley. He has tried up with the best answer. Mr. Buckley.
I drafted. Excuse me, I'm not dying. I drafted that resolution last time, just a base to present to Parliament. If Parliament decided to support that draft I made in opposition to the campus police being armed, you could vote on that. If you decide that was not the will of Parliament, an easy, quick up or down vote can shift the language of that amendment to oppose the campus police being armed, or that was just given as a template for Parliament to do whatever it wanted and amend it however it wanted to do it. There's no specific reason. I could have written it either way. Parliament's will would dictate how the resolution ended up.
So Parliament hasn't really reached a decision yet?
No, as far as I'm aware, the last meeting where I requested an early leave, that resolution, I asked to take it off the agenda. It was apparently added afterward. I don't know what happened. It was tabled. And I still am sick and haven't had the time to redraft a resolution. But if we want to have that debate tonight, there's no problem, because we can just decide what the resolution will say tonight and then have it approved at a future meeting.
Or tonight.
Or tonight.
I'd be willing to discuss the resolution as long as Parliament is willing to do so.
So on the agenda, do you have the floor? You want to propose a resolution or have debate?
I'm open to debate about this. Is Parliament going to debate this?
Oh, they added it to the agenda, so it's open to the floor for discussion. We have no one on the list right now. Mr. Buckley.
I'll start off the debate. So last week, my friend Lauren Sevo, who is a new student here, just transferred here this semester. I've known her for a couple years from the Army, finally back in college. She texted me one night because her car was broken into in the parking lot next to the Murray Center. and her GPS was stolen, and her Zune, her MP3 player, and her driver's window was smashed. And she texted me angrily because she had been reading the Anchor and listening to me babble. It was wondering why the heck campus police are whining about needing guns now when she asked a campus policeman that day if there was video surveillance of this person who had, broken into her personal property and stolen her stuff. And the campus policeman told her, no, we have no working cameras in this area and the infrastructure is not in place. So quite honestly, if the Board of Governors would like to give the campus police money for training to get back in shape so that they might actually be able to chase down any college student on this campus, or do any of the stuff that, that would require them to be armed, I think we should instead take that money and put it towards fixing the infrastructure that we should have now, which we apparently don't have, and stop things like that from happening. Money can go elsewhere, not freaking guns.
I actually read the resolution, or actually the foundation of the resolution, and I agree with the resolution because I feel campus security shouldn't bear arms because, I mean, everybody always complains about their service and about the quality. And what happens if there's an accident? What happens if one student was to get armed by campus security because now they have firearms? And I fight for that one student in that future. It could be 10 years down the road, it could be 15 years down the road. And that's why I was in favor of this resolution. Now, I feel that this resolution should actually be written thoroughly. And I feel that maybe it should be taken back to the people who are actually in charge of campus, or the campus security committee, Corbali, Rondo, and me. And we can we can actually draft this resolution, maybe bring this to Parliament, so it's not that much of a long debate tonight. That's how I feel, but the rest of Parliament can say otherwise.
Point of information?
Yes.
I just want to remind everybody that no matter if we send this to the Campus Security Committee or whatever to be drawn up, it still has to get approved by Parliament. It can still be amended every other which way, and nothing will be finalized and sent anywhere until the body approves it.
All set, Mr. Escobar?
That was a correct point.
Mr. Legere?
I just wanted to, ask some information so everyone knows exactly where, the campus stands at least. When me and Mr. Escobar and Ms. Cavalli met with the campus police lieutenant, E.L., he told us that there was a plan in process to update the infrastructure. And in regards to whether the campus police will actually be able to chase us, there's a plan where they're going to, basically, if it gets approved, they're going to retrain those who will be able to stay, because some of the police will be retiring, and they're going to have new cops coming in, and they might be younger police. So just keep that in mind, whichever way you stand on the issue, but keep that in mind that we're going to be updating the infrastructure. There's a plan for that. I can't say a time because I'm not the guy controlling the budget, but they're improving the infrastructure, and they're going to retrain new police and maybe get younger police. That's just information you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Legere. Mrs. Bentley?
Sorry. Two things. I heard it, I just don't really remember, I don't have it in front of me. What do they have anything on them at all, like mace?
No.
Nothing?
Not on it all, right?
No,
Okay.
they do have mace, I believe. They receive training in mace, at least.
Okay.
Pepper spray.
Okay, I agree, I don't think they should be armed with a gun, but I do think they should have some sort of
I agree.
means of protection, like one of those,
baton.
yeah, one of those things, or some mace, or both, or maybe a stun gun, I'm not really sure, but something not deadly, because we're not in the heart of Providence, we're not really at risk, I don't think that much. And also, how much, I know you were saying about the money for training, how much, is there enough money to train some of the new, I mean, they are a lot of older guys. I feel like there should be some newer, more fit guys. But at the same time, I don't know, is there enough money to go around for all causes? We don't know.
I don't know where the money, I'm not controlling the budget, but from from the informational meeting we had, there is a plan, which is better than nothing. As you know, this is a bureaucratic school, it's a state institution, so things take time. But there is a plan, I'll tell you that. So it's not like they're not trying to do anything. They're trying to improve the infrastructure. There's a capital investment plan, I'm not sure the specifics, but this should be taking place. I'm sure it's in the works, but again, I don't know the specifics.
Also, Ms. Butler? Ms. Almeida?
I'd like to yield the floor to our guest who's here. Something to
I
say?
understand I'm not a voting member. My name is Joseph D'Souza. I'm representing the Mass on CS Club. But I hear this debate and feel that perhaps I could add something to it. I understand Mr. Buckley is probably very good at his position in SCG, but I don't necessarily respect his opinion as an advocate in the part of the police or proper police
Could you
procedure.
speak up a little more or stand up?
Sure.
Thank you.
My experience with the police on campus has been different. I found them courteous. I found them very responsible, reasonable people. But again, I am not an expert on police procedure. Perhaps before you make a definitive decision on whether the police ought to or ought not to have guns, you might want to have a representative. I'm certain one of the campus police people would more than happily send a representative to tell you why they're requesting to have that done. I don't think it's an issue of whether cars get robbed or not. I believe there was an incident at Virginia Tech and other incidents in other parts of the country where there have been situations where it might have been preferable for the police to have arms on campus. And I also think that it might be a good idea, mace maybe, if people are worried about policemen running around, fat policemen as you say, running around with weapons, discharging them at students at random. Again, as I said, I think it might be better to have a campus policeman here to speak on that more definitively than to have some person. Sorry to intrude on your discourse, and I understand that's not why I'm here, but it's something I feel very strongly about. I felt I needed to say something. I yield the floor.
Thank you.
Also, Ms. Almeida?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Leonidas?
I agree with what you said. I think that they should have some stuff. And if there's a common middle ground that we could reach where if we do give them firearms, they could be rubber bullets, like they certain police do with hostage crises, where they have to shoot innocent victims. Sometimes they use rubber bullets, and I've talked to some of the police officers about that. Maybe we can reach some type of middle ground with that. But if not, then at least give them some type of weapon like mace and a baton, something nice thing. That would be
Thank you, Mr. Leonidas. Is there any further discussion on the issue?
Yeah, I raised my card.
Did you skip it?
I apologize, Mr. Leonidas. You have the floor. Go, got that.
I just want to,
For whatever reason, we're hired here. Not all of them are retired. Some of them are. But essentially, if you retire from one police agency and then go work in another one, it's the same thing. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, just a lot of them are really old. Sorry. Yeah, thank you.
All right. All set, Mr. Andrews?
Sure.
Mr. Escobar?
I'd like to clear up my stance too. I share the same views on this issue as Aaron Butler. I believe they should have something to arm themselves, just not guns. I believe I heard an example of Virginia Tech. I'm not certain, but I believe their security or their police was armed. And was it Mr. Andrews? And I don't believe that stopped the massacre that happened there. And I also believe that maybe a campus security official should be here to make their case before we pass such a resolution. Maybe that's the fair thing to do. And Ms. Resendez said something about representing our constituencies. And at this point, I was talking to Nigel Evangelista about the new online voting technology. And maybe it's possible in the future we can pass questions such as, should campus security should they be armed? And then we can have this as a mass popular vote to know where Parliament can take this issue. And I'm thinking that maybe in the future, these issues can actually go to our mass constituencies. That us.
Thank you, Mr. Escobar. Just so I know, I think the Anchor took a stance against this a couple weeks ago. They actually had a poll on their website accomplishment results of that.
I believe there was only 30 people that
Not a
voted.
lot of people responded. Mrs. Dooley?
As member of Clinicians and Services, I motion to table this till we have the results, the formal results of the survey that took place on campus. That represented, that was one of the questions that was asked, and it represented, it was taken in many different areas of campus. We purposely made sure we covered the whole campus. So I think it's important to have those numbers. I can speak for social work, and I can tell you what I've heard from social work, but I don't think it's fair for me to speak just from that area. I think we need to know what the entire school says, not just what we personally believe.
A motion by Mrs. Dooley and seconded by Ms. Almeida to table this until such time as the Conditions and Services Committee reports back on their survey results. That has been made and seconded. It's a non-debatable motion. All those in favor of tabling this discussion until such time as the survey results are presented to Parliament, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Motion carries. Next order of business is new business, item A, constitutions. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First on the list is the Aging and Gerontology Education Society. Is there an Aegis representative available this evening? Aegis, going once, going twice.
So.
We put it on.
Mr. Secretary, can you introduce the representative of Aegis and the representative to just explain a little about the club and the changes to the constitution?
Okay, if you could please state your name and briefly explain the purpose of your club and what you're trying to do.
Okay, my name is Abby Rowe. I'm the vice president of Aegis. And basically, we were asked to update our constitution because it was very outdated. And so the main changes we really made were just kind of updating the purpose and just to try and, we basically have kind of restarted the club after a brief hiatus. So we really rewrote the purpose over the past year. And basically, the goal of the club is to just kind of raise issues related to aging, aging populations, issues of importance to seniors, both within the RIC community and also to try and work on some community service type projects related to seniors. So.
Entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Andrews, seconded by Mrs. Bentley. Discussion. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the Constitution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Abstentions? Ayes appear to have it. They do have it. Motion carries.
Appreciate it.
Yes, Mr. Andrews.
You do that thing, the ayes appear to have it, and you have it, like every 5 to 10 votes. Either it's part of the presentation or it's not.
Well, what do you guys want to do?
I like it. Go to the next constitution.
Who doesn't want to hear for a second? Ms. Strobel, who wants me to say that and who doesn't want to say that?
No, out of order. Point of order, I'm out of order.
I just recognize you, so you are in order. Ms. Strobel, who wants me to say that? Raise your hand. Seriously.
Say what?
The ayes appear to have it, they do have it, motion carries.
Just say it with
If you
everyone.
want me to say that, raise your hand. If you don't want me to say that, raise your hand. Okay, well, I'll just keep doing what I want, because I want, like, our next order of business is the Massachusetts Science Constitution. Mr. Cunningham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the Math and Computer Science Club representative, please stand and state your name.
My name is Joe D'Souza. I'm the secretary of the Math and Computer Science Club. I'm here to answer your questions about the Constitution and our club.
Okay, this club is already in existence and is simply updating its constitution. Any questions may be directed to Mr. D'Souza.
Discussion. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made by Ms. Almeida, seconded by Mr. Resendez. Discussion. Hearing no discussion. Yes, Dr. King.
I just had a question about active membership in your constitution. I think it says that active members need to fill out an application.
I don't remember that being in the Constitution. It might have been sent in by.
That's item 4.3.1, first page. Members interested in joining the club are required to submit an application to any club officer or advisor.
And that's standard for any club, it's just in this particular constitution worded a bit differently than is typical.
I didn't put this in, to be honest. We have, you're talking about membership, and maybe I should elaborate. We've been having problems getting enough people into the club. I don't know why this is here. We're struggling to get as many people in as we can. I think it might have been put in by maybe the president or the vice president, who are not here right now because the club is in some kind of flux.
Do they just, so when people want to join, do they fill out an application?
What we normally did was we would take a roll or a roster and kind of
You
have
take
it
10.
here.
You take attendance, but they don't fill out a form.
This is about as far as our form gets. Anybody who wants to be in the club, I try to put their name down, the secretary, that's what I do. It's relatively informal. We tend to meet in the Mitchell room at Engage on the 3rd floor. The membership is in flux.
The reason I asked that question is because the application made it sound like that people filled out a form and then there may have, application sort of implies some people are admitted to the club and some people aren't. If there was some sort of selection process that prohibited people from joining, that would be an issue for this body to approve the organization.
If everybody here is amenable to it, I'd be more than happy to strike that from the Constitution.
Motion to amend?
Or maybe just amend it.
Because to further elaborate, I have been in the club for a while, trying to get this club going, trying to get the Constitution through lack of interest, lack of people willing to come to meetings. I have never, ever, ever seen any kind of a form or some kind of an acceptance process.
I definitely think you ought to update that so that it reflects what you guys actually do.
All right, if it's acceptable for me to do that now as part of the acceptance process, again, I would be more than happy to either strike it or amend it.
I guess motion to amend and strike that first, was it?
Just so you know, if you did strike that, there would be nothing that defines active participation. You should require that. Yes, please say your point, Mr. Keller.
Oh,
Well, one moment. What's your point?
What is the wording from the model for that section?
Mr. Secretary, do you have the model constitution, state 4.3 is?
I do not have it in front of me, but basically it would be, to reword this would be, members interested in joining the club are required to submit a written record of membership.
Attend a certain percentage of the meetings. What ages?
As a member of the club, may I make suggestive wording?
all right, I yield the floor to the representative.
Okay.
May I suggest rewording? I believe the reason for that is that we use members to elect officers, and we would want to know who active members are in the club before we elected officers. So again, as I said, there's no formal process, so maybe we could say members interested in joining the club are required to inform a club officer or the advisor of their intent and have that recorded. That way we can keep a roster of who actual members were, so that when we didn't have elections, we would be able to tally who others will, et cetera, and so forth.
Point of information?
As opposed to a formal application.
Mr. Anderson, please state your point, Mr. Cunningham.
I actually do have the model constitution in front of me. 4.3.1 simply says define active membership by requiring written registration of registered person. So that's kind of open-ended, and we generally leave that up to the clubs. Doesn't usually vary too much, but that's what it says in the model.
Mr. Andrews, can you clarify?
I will clarify my motion. Motion to make 4.3.1 read, members interested in joining must register with the secretary of the organization.
Prior to meeting.
Yeah. Well, no, just register.
Communicate their intent.
Communicate their intent.
All you need to do is be somebody.
Order, there's a lot of side conversation, Mr. Andrews has the floor.
Well, I was
Pay attention to
saying
what he's saying.
we should have it as registered just because if you guys want to keep a running roster, it just basically means you're putting someone's name in like a database or in a roster book or in an attendance book. So register. In other words, right there, let's just sign up with the secretary. How's that sound? Huh?
So, members interested in joining the club must register with the secretary of the organization.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made by Mr. Andrews and seconded by Mr. Buckley. Discussion, Mrs. Dooley.
Does it have to be the secretary? Why can't they speak with
Because that's
any
the secretary's
executive?
job.
Well, I'm saying if the secretary isn't there that day, could it
I
be
think it would be
any
given.
of the executive board?
I think
Mr. Andrews trying to answer Mrs. Dooley's question.
I think it would be a given. All right. Any executive board member?
All right, is that
Yeah.
a friendly amendment for Mrs.
Friendly
Dooley?
amendment?
That's terrific.
I accept.
Okay, well, the body has to accept. Does the body accept the friendly amendment?
Aye.
I guess.
In other words, is there any opposition to the friendly amendment? Okay,
I was just gonna say, the secretary and or another executive council member, just that way he would be primary, and then the other board could be secondary.
body accept that amendment as friendly?
Yes.
Okay. So it now reads, members interested in joining the club are required to submit an application to the secretary or an organizational officer. Members interested in joining the club must register with the secretary or an organization officer of the organization, or an officer of the organization.
Yes.
Okay, so that is your motion, Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
The friendly amendment by Mrs. Dooley. Mr. Holland is next.
Do you mean for it to mean any other officer of the organization?
So members interested in joining the club are required to submit, members interested in joining the club must register with the secretary or any officer of the organization. Whatever.
One other question. What constitutes registering?
Signing in.
It's up to the club. Any further discussion on the amendment? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Abstentions? Motion carries. Further discussion on the Mathematics and Computer Science Club Constitution. Oh, we already had the motion. All those in favor of approving the Constitution as amended, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Abstentions? The ayes have it, the motion carries. Thank you very much. Next order of business is new business, item C on the agenda, bylaws proposal. We're passing the gavel to the deputy speaker. Yeah, that was removed.
Missed that part, I missed that part.
You pull out the minutes that were approved earlier in the meeting. I'm going to introduce the topic. The deputy speaker did want to speak on it, so I'll try to introduce it. I'll let him speak, and then we'll give the speaker for the remainder of the topic. Again, we had our third and final public forum to give people an opportunity to speak on this issue. The Bylaws Commission took everything that was said in the public forum into consideration, as well as what we debated when people were not present at the three public forums. And we met in executive session for over an hour after the last public forum. The minutes of executive sessions are normally not made public, but since this is a bylaws issue and we want the discussion on record, we did include the minutes of the executive session of how we came to decisions. First, we felt that it would be appropriate to vote on the motion that was sent to us by Parliament. That motion failed 0-6, the original motion as it was worded. So then we debated what to do next, what we wanted to recommend. On the last page of the minutes, we have two recommendations. That student Parliament drafts a proposal for the creation of an ethics commission to be sent to bylaws for review to suggest changes to the conflict of interest policy to be sent to bylaws and SOC review before final approval by Parliament, or that student Parliament grants the Bylaws Adjudication Commission authority to draft the proposal itself to be sent to Parliament for the creation of an ethics commission, and the authority to propose changes to the conflict of interest policy, which will then be forwarded to SOC review and back to Parliament for final approval. Now, of course, this is close to the end of the semester, so the Bylaws Commission would obviously meet in due haste and, you know, within a couple meetings, and hopefully within a couple weeks, have this all back to Parliament for final approval. If Parliament decides to grant the Bylaws Commission the authority to delve into this issue further. That's basically, I think, what the Bylaws Commission is asking. That's what we are requesting that Parliament give us the ability to do. Basically, they felt that the main reason why the original vote failed was that they felt the policy as it was worded, as it would go into the bylaws, had some problems. It did solve some issues, but it didn't solve the entire concept of the issue, which is basically an ethics question, a conflict of interest question. So that's why the Bylaws Commission is asking for the authority to review both the conflict of interest policy and to create a new ethics commission in lieu of the original bylaws proposal that will instead closely monitor ethics of student parliament members as a whole and all committee members as well, I suppose. So that's what the Bylaws Commission discussed and is proposing the following. I'll let the Deputy Speaker elaborate further before he takes the gavel.
Just to piggyback on what Mr. Speaker said, basically what happened during the discussion was we couldn't figure out the perfect solution. And so we were going back and forth and back and forth. And so I said maybe we should create an ethics commission. Maybe that would do the job. But I thought about it afterwards, and now you don't have to actually accept the ethics commission. It's only if Parliament agrees. Because as we know, we have a lot of committees and it's already a hard time getting those filled. So if you don't feel we should create one, it's cool. So I want you to keep that in mind. But the main thing about the ethics commission is to basically regulate what we want to do. We want to make sure there's no bias. We want to make sure there's no conflict of interest. We just want to make sure things are good perception. We talk about perception. We talk about everything. So once again, just keep in mind that we don't have to create this. But if you feel that we're doing this body, once again, with my idea, I'm with you for supporting it. So just keep that in mind.
Again, on the other side, other than the ethics commission conflict of interest policy side, right now the penalty for violating the conflict of interest policy is censure. And censure is what usually whatever Parliament determines to be. So one of our goals as well was to ask Parliament for permission to what does censure mean? And put a list of different options for censure. A censure with losing stipend, a censure for being suspended for a meeting or 2 meetings or the rest of the semester, or something along that line. What the defined censure to give Parliament more options than just censure. So that's pretty much why we are recommending that. And again, we've got 2 different proposals there. Parliament's free to amend them or throw out our proposals or suggest their own proposals. So if there are any members of the commission, I want to give them an opportunity to state that as well. I know Mr. Buckley is on the commission as well as Ms. Almeida. She wasn't able to attend. Who else is here from the commission? Ms. Cavalli. I think that's it for Parliament members. So Mr. Buckley, you have the floor, and I'll pass the gavel to the Deputy Speaker.
Okay. I would like to, you know what I want to do. Instead of setting up a separate ethics commission, I'd like to put this idea on the table of giving bylaws the power to function as an ethics commission instead of making another commission for SCG to handle. And I think that Parliament might want to look toward rewriting and strengthening our conflict of interest statement to give it actual teeth, to describe certain consequences for actions that the Bylaws Commission or a Ethics Commission may be able to dole out at their discretion. And I think that one of the main things that we have to do is give a solid definition for us in SCG to what censorship means and where we can go with that definition. Done.
Mr. Kelly.
I was just wondering, when you go through with this performance commission, who would chair it and who would be on it? Because you definitely don't want somebody chairing the committees that you're, or people you might be looking at who sign conflict of interest statements to be deciding on whether something's conflict of interest or not. I think we may have the same issue with Mr. Buckley's proposal allowing bylaws to do it where, you know, recently we've had trustworthy people in positions, but what happens one year when you have somebody that, you know, if the speaker is the person you're looking to for the conflict of interest and they're chairing the committee looking at the conflict of interest, may not be such a good idea.
In that case, the speaker would recuse himself.
They should, but, you know.
They have to, otherwise.
They should.
Yeah, they should. They have to, because otherwise it's not.
Exactly, that's the problem. But if you form it, where are you going, should we be looking outside of student government, and outside of people we always see on committees? Should we be looking to faculty and staff to look at it, or, you know? Yeah, I think we should be looking for people that aren't regularly on committees, where probably people are not on parliament, things like that.
State your point.
Are we able to have committees and commissions without parliament members on it? That was what I was going to mention to enough, so I just wanted to state that while you continue.
I can answer your question. The commission did discuss that strongly, and I think that Joe consensus was that it might be like 3 parliament members and 5 non-parliament members, the non-parliament members chairing, or something like that. And that will be discussed by parliament here, by the commission, and then again by parliament again, which does get approved.
Yeah, I would.
So you do have parliament members on.
No, they don't have to, but it's, you know, usually.
How else can we get the reports, the only problem?
So someone knows Robert's Rules of Order and all that.
Then I'd like to give the floor to Jasmine real quick.
I just want to say that I agree with Ric Scg, and I also want to point out that sort of what happened this time was, I'm not calling anyone out, but people on bylaws sort of do have a conflict of interest. So how are you going to vote against something that you want? You know, it sort of doesn't make sense. You got 6 people that all have interior motives, well, may have interior motives. So how are you going to vote on something that would like make it worse for you? You're not going to do it. So how can we send this to bylaws and have them come back and give this to us? And it had nothing to do with them. Well, no, it has a lot to do with them. Sorry. Sorry. I got distracted. But also, as for the Ethics Commission, you can't even get people to do for Sally and Joan or just personnel. Like, how are we gonna get this? Seriously? That's it.
Mr. Kelly still has the floor. You all set, Mr. Kelly?
Yeah.
Ms. Cavalli.
I really agree with being able to have a bylaws kind of serve as the ethics commission oversight. But I do agree with not having all parliament members on it. Like, we already discussed it that I don't even think the person who chairs the committee should be but
Do you want to put you back on the list?
yeah.
All right, Mr. Evangelista.
Good.
Ms. Bentley.
I'm just taking in everyone's saying, and I was like, oh, let me just come up with a brilliant idea before they call me. Didn't happen. Oh God, like, I agree. I don't think that bylaws should do it at all. At first I did, and then I heard that, and I was like, no, you're right. I think it should be. I think it should be primarily all non-town. Like, I like the idea, like the 3 and the 5, but then, like she said, are you really going to be able to get people to do it? And is it going to be one of those non-active, active committees? As far as an idea, it can, and I don't know, can you come back to me? I'm sorry.
Would you like to go back on the list?
Yeah, please.
Mr. Escobar.
Of course, I came in favor, and I don't know how you say that. I put my testimony in favor of the initiative. But for there to be no votes from people who are heavily in favor of this initiative, then maybe this proposal should convert itself into an ethics commission. Maybe that is the best route. It serves as a compromise between students having the freedom to be as active as they want, plus maybe eliminating any unethical procedures. And in terms of an ethics commission, maybe it should be, I don't know, 8 non-parliament members. So you're giving it more people a chance to be on there. maybe like 3 members, but I was just me thinking right now. And it's maybe making sure that that commission is actually full. I don't, maybe possibly you pay them per meeting, because. Wait, just hear me out, because if we were to do this ethics commission, most likely it's not gonna get filled by non-parliament members, which that is our goal. And most likely, if there's a conflict of interest, if there's something, maybe an impeachment trial, I think this commission is gonna be working very hard for those meetings that they have. So maybe they should be compensated in some sort of way. Otherwise, we're gonna create an ethics commission that is gonna be filled by no one but 3 parliament members, and what is that getting done?
What's the point?
I mean, in a sense, you can kind of look at it as a jury, or like when you say juries do get paid is very minimal. So what he's saying is on a case-by-case basis, they get called up. So we can probably just go on that list.
So you say that?
Could it just be just one parliament? Why does it have to be 3? Could it just be one parliament member?
Hey.
Non-parliament members?
I was just
5?
thinking.
Okay. No, I'm just curious, like, do we have to have 3? Is there like a minimum amount of parliament members that are supposed to be in a committee? Okay. I think you can just have like one, and that's it, and then have the rest be non-parliament members.
So you're suggesting 1 parliament member?
Yeah, the chair or something, you can just not.
Well, I believe in our
Mr. Leonidas, you wanted to yield the floor to Ms. Esquire? Point of break. State your point and then Ms. Esquire's floor.
Are we allowed to form a committee or commission that is called up on a case-by-case basis?
You say your question again?
Are we allowed to? No, we can form a committee or commission, but can we form one that doesn't meet until we ask it to meet? Yeah, that's the only way I'm Oh, okay, well, can we form another committee like that? Are we allowed to?
I think we can do
okay. I just want to don't tell me that you can do anything. And we're not paying.
Okay, Mr. Esquire, so something to say.
Was the floor yielded to me?
Well, he said yes.
I believe I heard from Mr. Leonidas that maybe it should be chaired by a parliament member. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
I don't think it should be chaired by a parliament member. I feel it should be chaired by a non-parliament member. That's out of question.
All right, Mr. Buckley has the floor.
I had an epiphany after I gave up the floor last time. So bear with me for this. I would propose a 7-member commission, a subcommittee of bylaws. It'd be an ad hoc commission that was only called into effect when there was a conflict of interest issue that came up. It would have 2 members of the bylaws commission on it, and then the chair would be a non-parliament member, five non-parliament members, one of them would be chair, and then you'd have the 2 members of bylaws who know SCG's rules and could offer advice, but do not hold the majority, so there can't be any real conflict of interest going on with parliament members. And then these 5 members should not, they should cycle each individual calling of the ethics commission, subcommittee or whatever, would need to fill those 5 seats again, not using people from the last time. That way it cycles all the time and you're having this fresh pool of blood come in, minimizes conflict of interest within the ethics commission as much as possible. And yeah. Does that make sense? Motion? Oh.
Wait, point of information. So you said there would be 2 bylaws on it.
I'm sorry, nine people trying to get my attention. Can you repeat that?
You said there would be 2 bylaws member in this subcommittee, right?
Yes.
So would they also change as the 5 people changed? Not about to change?
You would have 2 members of bylaws per convening of the ethics commission.
So
That's
would
possible.
it happen where people kept getting in the same positions and they keep making the
Well,
same choices?
the two bylaws members would change because, there's only 9 members of bylaws? 7. So that's a limited pool,
Would
but
you mind making them ex officio members so they can't vote?
I accept that.
Yeah.
Point of order.
Is it the point of information, just a one-sentence statement?
Sorry.
Throw that out there?
I have a question.
We had a big election about this a couple years ago.
Point of inquiry.
Point of
Sure.
inquiry.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That was my epiphany. Sorry. Touching on what Travis was saying, maybe instead of paying them, I was thinking like incentive. Those 5 people, great. But you're gonna be like, oh, I want you, and I'm like, I'm going to class. I'm gonna go have lunch. Maybe provide food for them. Maybe give them something like space and anchor to voice their opinion. We have to just some kind of incentive, because I mean, if I wasn't on Parliament and somebody said, hey, come to this meeting, I would be like, what? But if I was a little bit of incentive, I might do it. I just don't know what kind of incentive that wouldn't break our bank.
Well, right now we're discussing what could be. Once somebody actually makes a motion for what they want it to look like, then we can add in details.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Do I still have the floor?
You still have the floor.
Would anybody kill me if I began a motion?
Yes.
Yes.
There's 3
Can I-
more.
can I-
I might hug you.
There's 3 more on the list?
4 more.
Please put me at the bottom of the list.
Okay.
Give me 10 seconds.
Next is Mr. Andrews.
Okay, one of the concerns I have about the idea of having someone who's non-parliament is the, population of people on campus who are involved, and the population of people who are involved that know about student government in that capacity. Not picking on you, Ken, but you're here. So if we had Mr. Spaulding, very involved person, say he just happened to give up his position on bylaws, on finance, everything, not involved with Parliament, was a non-Parliament member and became the chair of that commission, of that ethics committee, there would still be a quote-unquote conflict of interest. That's just point number 1 I wanted to make. Second point is, the way Mr. Buckley's making the sound, we kind of have like our own little parliamentary jury. We would call, 5 students out. We have students who sign up at the beginning of a semester or something that, the student activity fee is kind of like their taxes, and we just call them and say, hey, jury duty, let's go.
Yeah.
Are you all set, Mr. Andrews?
I would like to yield the floor to Mr. Buckley.
I do just want to ask if we have non-parliament, if we have the general student body and members of student parliament, I understand what you're saying about having a jury, a pool that we could pool students from or whatever, but what other options do we have?
Having it chaired mostly by non-parliament, the only thing that really concerns me is the non-parliament people that would be involved with it. Because chances are they could be involved in other organizations, and it would bring up that conflict of interest again. Isn't that the whole thing that we're talking about?
For information, they have, with juries, they have jury selection. So we would have to do a jury selection kind of thing.
So if you're involved in an organization, you have to go, or?
That's another step in the process.
You would have to disclaim. You would have to disclaim if you had a conflict of interest.
Order.
I think we should try to minimize the complications and confusion around this before anybody makes a motion, because right now it's like, all right, we're gonna put ourselves in kind of a quagmire if we can go about this. All right, non-parliament, but they have conflict of interest. But if we go to a jury select, I like Mr. Evangelos' suggestion of a jury selection process, but time-wise, how much would that take? And I see a lot of head shaking, so Ms. Carvalho, would you like to say something?
Yeah.
She's next on the list.
Take it away.
You can't give the floor to everyone.
Take it away. I'm done.
No, I'm bringing it all together. I don't know, why can't we have a co-chair with non-parliament and parliament member co-chair? The jury selection, I like the idea, but we can't force people to be on it. What are we gonna do? Oh, you sent us to go to race? Okay, you have to do this. Like, we call you every 3 years or whatever.
Jury duty.
I don't know how exactly to do that, but I think we are kind of looking way too deep into it. Like, I think there's no way that we're gonna, there's always gonna be conflict of interest, like that like kind of came up with that, like, there's always gonna be conflict of interest. The whole purpose, from my understanding of the Ethics Commission, is to kind of just form it so that it's all inclusive, so that it's more of a diverse group of people that are, I guess, like made up of the same individuals that share all the same beliefs and all that stuff. So just to have that commission there so that it's more harmonious and that people can be held accountable because it's not all the same type of people on that commission. Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Bentley.
Okay, I think, I like what Mr. Andrews said about having a list like at the beginning of the semester. I know that I have a lot of friends who just can't make Wednesday nights, every other Wednesday at 8 o'clock, or they just don't want to for whatever reason. But I think that if we had a list at the beginning, it would kind of eliminate the, you have to do this, you get, you know, that's what you pay for. And then that way, we have a list of, I mean, I would like to say 30 people, but might only be 10, and maybe pick 5 or whatever, however many we decide on, people out of that. It wouldn't take very long. Just have them meet at their own time, pick a chair at random, out of those 5 randoms or whatever, and then have them decide, and then if they could, present it to the Parliament at a Parliament meeting or during free period or at whatever time is more convenient for them, because they're kind of doing us a favor-ish. I'm done.
Thank you, Mrs. Bentley. Ms. Leonidas. Back to Mr. Butler.
Pressure's on.
Oh, I'm not there
Are you up or not?
Do I have the floor?
Yes, you have the floor.
I will yield it to Ms. Bentley.
I was an idea that I had before this that I just remembered was, and again, it might defeat the whole conflict of interest purpose, but maybe not. Maybe we have like over 60 organizations. Maybe choose, all right, say 1 person from each organization, with the exception of the overly active ones.
That discriminates
And-
against those organizations.
All right, including everybody, because the high active ones would be smaller and have each, because it says in every constitution that a person from, I'm really bad with my literature, but that a member from your club must be representative at Parliament anyway. That's not really, I don't see that, being a member of SOC and being a member of Parliament. Maybe have the e-board choose a member to be part of the Ethics Commission, and then they would have more of an obligation, not just as a student, but to their club. And they would have different punishments based on what their club has to say. I yield the floor to Sarah Julie. If I can, I don't think I can do that, never mind. And
Mr.
Sarah.
Butler, you still have the floor.
Okay, to move this along, oh God help me. I motion that we create an ad hoc subcommittee of the Bylaws Commission convened when a conflict of interest complaint is filed to judge whether a conflict of interest has taken place. This commission would comprise of 7 members, 2 members of the Bylaws Commission, and 5 non-parliament members. These seats will be filled at the convening of each Ethics Commission, agenda item, each complaint, not to comprise of members from the immediate preceding meeting. The chair must be a non-parliament member, and a quorum of 5 out of 7 members must be present, and a supermajority.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes,
This is a new discussion, by the way. New list.
what's the point of having an ethics? You said,
Also, I didn't state your name, I'm sorry. But, yeah, you have the floor, you have the floor. You have the floor.
What's the point of an ethics commission? Okay, what type of slaps on the wrist can they give, or you can't go to a parliament meeting, or your stipend's gonna be revoked? You don't get that much of a stipend. You may want to miss a meeting, so it's like, what's the point of having them? They're not gonna do anything substantial.
Put your cards up.
Oh, what did I just do?
Hold them up high, keep them up. Look up for your name.
Ms. Escobar, I got you. Julia.
Mr. Bossi.
Mr. Barley. Okay, first on the list, Mr. Lima.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I had a question for Mr. Buckley. Are you setting this bylaws commission to add to the bylaws, or are you saying to the bylaws commission to add to our bylaws policies? I think this could go in either one.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Is your motion to send this to the bylaws commission for us to add it to the bylaws itself, or are you asking the bylaws commission to add this to our policy and become like a subcommittee of bylaws? And be mentioned in the policy, but not in the bylaws? Or both?
I'm sending it to bylaws.
Is you want bylaws to iron that out where it would go, or?
Yes.
Okay. In regards to the, the idea that was thrown around about rotating group of students, I don't think it's really feasible. Having served as the president last year, it is difficult, but not impossible, to get non-parliament students to serve on committees. I think at one point in my presidency, we had just about every single committee seat filled on every committee of Parliament and every college committee. I think I had about 100 non-Parliament students I was in contact with at one point, so it is certainly possible to do it and have them be active and do it. So I think having 5 or 7, whatever the final number could be, do it is feasible. I think it's the obligation of the president to check on the attendance of committee people, and that's part of the president's job description, and the obligation of Parliament to vote to approve the president's appointments. And of course, every appointment is checked up by the president, checked by Parliament. So I would be fine giving that to the bylaws commission for review. And again, because the semester time is running out here in the semester, I think the bylaws commission will try to act quickly, maybe meet before the end of the week if this is sent to us for review to come back to Parliament. That concludes my remarks, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mrs. Dewey.
I think that Mr. Escobar was right in that there should be some sort of pay for these non-parliament members who are taking this responsibility on. Like Mr. Buckley said, this would be a one-time service, if I understood correctly?
Correct. Are you allowing me time to respond?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
The way I worded this, it precludes members from, if the commission was going to be now for an item, then the next meeting, none of those members could be put on that, but 2 meetings later,
Okay.
we only have so big a pool. So it's just an immediate proceeding issue.
State your point.
But I'm open to
Is it
suggestions.
a meeting by meeting?
Sorry.
Or is it issue by issue?
Issue, conflict.
I'm not sure logistically if this would work, but I'm wondering if a way of getting more people involved in this, more non-parliament members involved in this, would be parliament members, this year people, or next year people, whatever, going to organizations and saying, this is an opportunity, you're not expected to have the same responsibilities that we have, but it's a great way of being able to do a service and be involved and help out. So people understand you're not there Wednesday nights till 11:30, but there will be some sort of payment, and at the same time, you'll still be an active member. So I think that would involve us personally going out and speaking to people in our organization or friends of ours. It's not just going to be left like, gee, if you want to join, you can join. Yeah, that's true too, but it would take an act of us, spreading the word.
Mr. Escobar.
I'd just like to say that non-parliament members on committees usually drop like flies, as I've seen in some of the committees that I've joined. And I feel like compensation for this committee is the best route. May I ask for a straw poll of how Parliament feels?
On what?
On paying non-Parliament members, or paying members of this Ethics Commission committee?
Yes. Well, you're on a question.
Yeah, we would need to change some other issues, and go back and budget for this, figure out how much we're gonna pay them, that kind of thing. I think more equitable would be provide refreshments or something like that for them.
I don't think.
Because I think, right, but, I think it's in the bylaws, you're all paid and finance members are paid. It would require more changes to add a commission of paid positions. It doesn't? I thought it did.
It's listed on the committee.
Oh, the stipend policy, I'm sorry, we'll have to revisit another policy after this to do that. I honestly don't think it's that great of an idea.
Well,
That's my opinion.
may I ask Alderman's opinion?
What's the question you want to ask?
Should this active commission get compensation as in cash?
All those who agree or yes, hands up.
Yes.
Anyone against that?
I just have a contract.
Is that good enough for you, Sespa?
Did everyone count?
You're supposed to count.
Well, it looked like there was more hands against it, so,
Would you like to do it again? Order. Would you like to do it again?
Can we do it again? Yeah, I don't know.
So say the question one more time, and then those who are. Order. Say your question one more time, and then if you're.
Should ethics commission members get paid? Non-pound members get compensation for their time?
Those who are in favor of that, state.
All right, 1, 2, 3,
And time.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
And those against?
1. Oh, wait.
Yeah, I don't think you count that way.
No, those in favor, these both right.
No, we
No,
didn't.
All right, 10 minus 2, 9.
Those against?
Those
Can I
against.
call for a recount?
All right.
Final count.
Those in favor of compensation? 1, 2, 3. Curtin, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right.
12, sorry.
12.
Those against?
Those
And time.
against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Charles, that's okay.
And then anyone who didn't vote?
I abstain.
Abstain.
Point of information, Mr. Speaker.
Is your point, Mr. Buckley?
Point of information, if we are going to be paying non-parliament members to be at this ethics commission, should we count it as a parliament meeting and therefore pay the members of parliament who are there?
No.
Okay.
Then,
That wasn't the straw poll, that was just bringing up a point.
Answer is no. All right, so Ms. Escobar, you still the floor, you all set now?
I'm sorry.
All right.
No frustrated.
Next on the list is Mr. Speaker.
On again? Well, I'd like to say, sure it wasn't you?
I think it was, yeah.
Oh, Mr. Tom Lima, yes.
Yeah.
Mrs. Lima.
I know, all right.
Mr. Lima Tom.
I was just, what Jasmine was saying, how much power would the, commission have? I mean, slap members want to take away stipend for a little while, but would they have enough power to say if something did something like really bad, like impeachment or something like that? I mean, could it replace the impeachment process, or just putting that out there? How much power do we give this commission?
Point of information, so would they be impeached if they?
Well, I asked the bylaws, it said that censure is undefined at the moment.
What do
So-
you consider censure?
I think.
We haven't gotten there yet.
We haven't. 1 second. I'm not sure everyone got your question correctly. You see that, clarify that, what you're asking?
I'm just basically asking if the debate right now is to create a commission, how much power would this commission have?
I think that's up to the parliament as far as what we want to say and do. What's your point?
What do we have right now?
I can answer that.
Yeah.
As of right now, if a parliament member, any parliament member breaks the rules, they can be recalled by the constituency, or they can be impeached, or they can be censured. Impeachment is permanent, it's a full trial, permanent banning for life from ever being on student government, ever on college, or any committee. Censure, well, that's something lower than the penalty for impeachment, but a wide range. It could be suspension of stipend for a meeting or a semester, or actually suspension from attending meetings for whatever reason, or anything else, or just no, I guess a small piece of notation that you were censured in the minutes. Parliament has those options, and the constituents have the option to recall any member of Parliament. I believe those three are the only penalties in place for all Parliament members. Then officers on top of that can also have a vote of no confidence against them, or can be dismissed by the president.
What do you mean by recall?
In our bylaws, there's a provision that states if a certain percentage of the constituency of a Parliament member does not like the job, if a petition is circulated, then that forces a recall election. Then if a certain percentage of their constituency comes out and votes to recall that member is immediately recalled, and the seat becomes vacant.
What information?
It probably what it does is, what's the point of ethics commission?
Yeah.
We're the ones that are their enforcers. What's the point of making a commission if we're supposed to do this? We're just giving someone else our job.
Thank you, Ms. Thank you, Mrs. Wendy's. Order. Next on the list is Mr. Harlan.
Yeah, I got a question. If we do create an ethics commission, would they be in charge of strengthening or rewarding the conflict in the policy? Because it said in the minutes that was submitted to us that there might be some strengthening of the conflict in the policy. So I was wondering that if we did create this commission, who would be in charge of rewarding the conflict?
I can answer that, Speaker. As right now, the conflict of interest policy is under the duties of the Secretary. So the Student Organizations Committee presently that is in charge of updating the conflict of interest policy. The Bylaws Commission was asking for permission to update it as well before sending it to SOC so that we could update it, at the same time as the Ethics Commission and kind of put things hand in hand with it to strengthen both at the same time. Then send it to SOC for final approval back to Parliament. I suppose that the Ethics Commission, if created, that duty could eventually be passed on to them instead of the Organizations Committee.
The question is, are we handing impeachment trials and all that stuff over to the Ethics Commission? No.
I can answer that as well. Again, all those other penalties I listed earlier, those are still in the hands of Parliament. The Ethics Commission would have the ability to, do the censure, I guess, and then Parliament would still have to vote on whatever action the Ethics Commission recommends. But again, that's up to Parliament to decide how much power the Ethics Commission would have. But I think a penalty as extreme as impeachment would still be left in the hands of Parliament.
Dr. Kane.
Actually, though the Ethics Commission could certainly recommend that Parliament take that action, they couldn't actually take it themselves. Fine.
So I've been advising student government since November of 2000, and I'm just wondering if anybody would like to guess at how many conflict of interest complaints have been submitted to Parliament or bylaws during that time. Jasmine?
0.
0. What does that mean? Well, I think that means is, we're talking about establishing an ethics commission to strengthen the conflict of interest policy, but we're not getting complaints. It's not that the policy is weak. I mean, we're not getting complaints at all. The problem isn't maybe necessarily that there are conflicts of interest that are overt, that people can see, that can be adjudicated by bylaws or some ethics commission, some decision being made, and stricter sanctions that need to be imposed. The problem is that those complaints aren't happening at all. So either there's a perception of conflict of interest that cannot be dealt with by conflict of interest, or there's conflict of interest happening that is not overt and not, it doesn't really sort of rise to the level where, somebody can submit a tangible complaint about it. And I don't think that, I just hate to see you guys develop needless bureaucracy for something that's never going to be called on. I mean, there's never going to be an ethics commission hearing because no complaints have been submitted so far, and I don't think there's going to be any more going further. The only way that I think, honestly, you can deal with a perception issue is not to have a system in place that deals with complaints as they come up, but to create rules that prohibit it from happening in the first place. That's the end of it. That's never going to go away.
Why do you wait so long to speak?
I was on the list.
He was on the list, and then the motion was made, so it was on the list.
I'm sorry.
Dr. King was trying to make his point.
Next time, just let me interrupt, guys.
Next on the list is Mrs. Bentley.
Okay, well, I might scratch everything that I said. Can maybe just, can I do a straw poll, see how many people of Parliament actually think that we should? Because otherwise, I'm just going to be wasting my oxygen if I say what I have to say.
Mr. Speaker?
A straw poll can't be in order. If you're asking a question like Mr. Escobar asked about whether or not somebody could receive a stipend, but if you're asking a question about something we're going to be voting on anyway, straw poll is out of order.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk then, because I don't know. He kind of just like stopped me, but I'm just going to keep going, whatever. Totally agree with Jasmine. Hold on. Hang on. Okay. Agree with, oh God, I'm like totally lost now. You totally threw me off. No, that's okay, that's fine. I totally agree with Jasmine as far as what she said being our job, but I feel that it would just be a way for us to be kept in check if we did have that, but there might not even be a need for it. And then as far as, I really do agree with giving them some kind of compensation, like Travis had said, but if we can not do that, I think it'd be a lot better. And I think that if we had members of our organization do it, I mean, I have 30 members of my sorority. I know I could just be like, can one of you take 10 minutes, a half hour, an hour out to just go to this meeting, please? We need your input. You guys are part of the active community anyway. So, but I might not even. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bentley. Next on the list is Ms. Carvalho.
I'm just gonna tag on to what you both said. I just think that this ethics commission should serve as a way to keep people accountable to their actions. And you guys brought up the question is like, what are they actually going to do? But just the fact that they're there so that people can find complaints, so they know that this body is there so that if the complaint is strong enough that someone's there to handle it. And I think that's really important that it's a way to check not only Parliament but also the Parliament members and just keep everyone in check, keep everyone accountable for what they say, what they do. I think it's just a good way to keep tabs on it. And that's all that.
Thank you, Mrs. Carvalho. Next, Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly.
After hearing what Dr. King said, maybe a new committee or commission is not the best idea, but maybe we need to look at who do you submit the issue to. If it's somebody on the exec board you're having the issue with, you can't submit it to the exec board because it wouldn't go anywhere. I think we might want to ask bylaws to look at, revising the conflict of interest policy and look into a different means of submitting an issue.
Point of information. They don't get submitted. Doesn't matter who they get submitted to, they just don't get submitted.
Because the people you're supposed to submit it to could be the people you're having a problem with.
State your point, Mrs.
That might be out of order. How does that procedure work? You split a complaint to who and how, and isn't the conflict of interest policy kind of like a complaint? I mean, it got brought up for a reason. It got brought up because people are sick of having dictatorship, and everyone, these few people rule everything, and so it's not a formal complaint. And maybe they should have submitted a formal complaint, so they didn't know how to, or this isn't a complaint? Like, I don't know.
You asking about the current complaint?
Yes.
A complaint can be submitted in writing to the Executive Council, it can be submitted to the Bylaws Adjudication Commission, the Commission can make a decision on that. And Parliament will have to uphold, or deny, or reject that decision. Or it could be submitted to Parliament itself, Parliament.
So
There's different avenues.
if somebody came up to me and were like, oh, you're in Parliament, I have an issue, here's my complaint, bring it to the body next meeting.
You could certainly do that as a Parliament member.
Do they know that? I didn't know that. I had no idea. I didn't know that I could submit a complaint. I had no clue.
Again, there's no rule specifically states that, but just basically as parliament members, you have the ability to add things to the agenda, make motions. That's the basic premise of being a parliament, is the ability to do just that.
And last thing, this whole shebang is not considered a formal complaint? Because there wasn't something, dear Mr. Speaker, I
think you're confusing a little bit. There's two different issues. Ethics in general, which is beyond just conflict of interest, and is specifically conflict of interest. Right now, we don't really have a procedure to govern ethics in general, other than voting somebody out.
Thank you.
Ms. Kelly said next, you had next is Mrs. Resendes.
Okay, I just wanted to say that there would be no point of the ethics committee if the original thing I brought to Parliament was in place, just because of the fact that it was, no executive board is allowed to hold an executive officer position. So if that was to happen, they wouldn't be able to run in general, or they'd be impeached. So there's no need. This is all it was supposed to go to, just executive boards. And everyone wants to make it go further. Oh, let's add it to SOC, let's add it to finance, let's add it to bylaws, and this and that. And it has nothing to do with that. It's just about the executive board. So there shouldn't be a problem. There should be no need for ethics committee.
Thank you, Mr. Next is Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to agree with what Mr. Kennedy said. When the Bylaws Commission looked at this issue, we looked at a lot of different areas that we talked about for several hours. We felt that the original proposal to just have it monitor the Executive Council wasn't strong enough. We felt that it should monitor all parliamentary members, because when you really think about it, as parliamentary members, when we're here, it doesn't matter if you're the president or if you're the freshman rep. You have an equal vote, you have an equal ability to do unethical things, you have an equal ability to take unethical action. The Executive Council members, aside from their duties listed in the bylaws, don't really take actions independently on their own outside of Parliament, not actions that have ramifications that extend beyond a day or a week or so. They can't single-handedly decide something that impacts things for a whole year or anything like that. So I think bylaws felt that it should apply to all Parliament members, and then we said, well, we should apply to Finance Commission members too, because they are really dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars of money. I think the Bylaws Commission's opinion on that was unanimous. They felt that it should not just apply to the Executive Council, it should apply to everyone. In regards to what Dr. Kane said, I agree with Dr. Kane that there hasn't been an issue yet that, in the 5 years I've been here, the 8.5 years that he's been here, but the spirit of this didn't seem to, because even Mr. Zenni's original motion wasn't because we had issues, it was because of perception. And the Bylaws Commission did take that into account when making a recommendation. We said, all right, well, if there's a perception, how do we get rid of the perception? Well, let's create an ethics commission that can act as a watchdog group, so that the perception now becomes, oh, well, I think SCG is being watched because they have an ethics commission that's watching them. And maybe that will scare Parliament members from not doing unethical things in the future. The Bylaws Commission took that into account when they created this, suggested this proposal, in that this is being put in place essentially for reasons of perception, not for reasons because it is an actual standing problem. I think the Bylaws Commission also sort of suggested this as a compromise as well. Personally, I don't really feel that we should have any provision. I think the rules that we have right now are fine as they are across the board. I don't think there should be any real proposal. But I agree that this could certainly be created at the Ethics Commission to answer that original issue that was brought up by Parliament that was discussed more often than not, which is that perception issue. And I think that the Bylaws Commission thought the best way to answer that perception issue was to create an Ethics Commission, not just add a bylaw about the Executive Council, because an Ethics Commission could oversee everyone, could have a censure on everyone, could look at everyone's job performance, and not just deal with issues of conflict of interest as specific as they are, but any complaint of ethics, and could have subpoena power and call someone forward to ask some questions or look at documentation to make sure that not just the Executive Council, but all Parliament members and committee members are doing the job ethically. I think that was the intention of the Bylaws Commission suggesting it to this body. Should they be compensated? I say no. Our other committees that have really an equal amount of power aren't compensated. Only finances, that's because they have a rigorous meeting schedule. We've got the budget hearings, they meet every other week. During the free period, they have to waive their club activities and all and whatnot. SOC and bylaws and PR and elections aren't compensated, and they do have all important jobs as well. I don't think an ethics commission should be compensated. Can non-policy members serve? Well, yes, they're a little bit flaky when it comes to committee serving, but it's the job, again, of the president to oversee the job performance of all committee members. So I think non-policy members would be obliged to serve. If they don't serve, they'd be replaced by someone that will.
Yes,
How are non-parliament members informed about these committees?
It's up to the committee chair.
Because I was never informed about committees on campus until I came out of parliament. So I'm
It's the job of the Public Relations Committee to advertise all committees and parliament open seats.
No, because if we're trying to like get community involvement, maybe we should let them know that this is actually going on to get more community involvement. Otherwise, this will make no sense of even coming up with any rules if no one's going to know about it.
Take note, next year's vice president, what you're supposed to do.
I just wanted to respond to one more thing in regarding to like club members serving on it. We got to remember we represent the entire student body, only about a fifth or a sixth, or even less of members of the student body serving clubs. So I don't think it shouldn't be a rotating thing based on club members. It should be any non-parliament student who has the ability to serve. But again, just to reiterate my main point, there is a reason. There would be a reason for creating the ethics commission. And that reason is the very reason that Parliament set the issue of bylaws in the first place. And that's to eliminate this aura of perception that there is corruption or that there are unethical things going on. Well, the ethics commission would then need power to monitor that. Not just to respond to complaints, but to actually monitor what's going on a bi-weekly basis. And they can meet regularly and monitor what this perception is and try and take actions or make recommendations to stop it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Next on the list is Mr. Kabali. I'm going to yield the gavel and say a bit. So from listening to the discussion, I've noticed a couple of things. Dr. King said in his 9 years here, 8.5 years, almost 9, he has received 0 complaints. Take note. Another thing that I noticed was the fact that we as parliamentarians aren't even sure the correct procedure as to how we should, document a complaint. So as I take those 2 things into consideration, I'm thinking maybe it's not that we need to create an ethics commission. Maybe we should, A, know what we can actually do as parliamentarians, and then B, actually have language in our bylaws that says what the correct procedure is, so that if any parliamentarian got their book and looked through the bylaws and say, oh, I can do this, maybe that's what we really need to do, because I think if you look at the real problem is we don't really know what we can do. We didn't know that we can take a complaint and bring it here and say, I think that Mr. Laguerre has a conflict of interest because he's voting a certain way. You didn't know how you can actually go about doing that. So maybe we don't need an ethics commission. Maybe we just have to clarify our rules, and we know our rules. Yes.
Does that mean your thing is going to go through another tutorial?
I don't think that means Nick Klima goes through a tutorial. I think that means we as parliamentarians say, okay, what should be the rule? And place it in our bylaws. It's very simple. As parliamentarians, we have power, and our power is to create policies and set a foundation for not only for our functioning body, but for the future of RIC and the future of RIC SCG. So we all can actually engage in creating policy. And that's what we can do right now. We can say, no, we don't want the ethics commission, and say we want to create a rule. Or we can say we want the ethics commission and add that rule in it. So it's up to you guys. I'm going to take the guy back. Next on the list is Mr. Buckley. And I'm not sure if anyone had their cards up because I was talking. Mr. Buckley.
Okay, just to clarify, we are still debating my motion that I put on the floor a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Mr. Speaker?
Say that again, I'm sorry. How was it writing?
We are still debating the motion I put on the floor
Yes.
a while ago.
Yes.
Okay. The only thing I have to say is I want to remind everybody that the spirit of this motion is the fact that I see a disconnect between conflicts of interest that could arise being judged by members of parliament or by the bylaws commission. I think that the real outcome should be judged by non-parliament members. That's why I motioned to create this subcommittee under bylaws, because I think this is a bylaws issue, but bylaws right now is not stocked to the proportions that I would like of non-parliament members. So I'm open. I've heard a lot, and I'm burned out. I can't write anymore. But I agree with a lot of what's been said. I just want to make sure that we're not going too far off track. This motion has to be voted up or down somehow, and that's the spirit that I propose this in.
Point of information,
Yes.
can you repeat the motion, refresh our memories?
Sure.
It's been a while.
Sure. I motion that we create an ad hoc subcommittee of the Bylaws Commission, convened when a conflict of interest complaint is filed to presumably the Bylaws Commission, to judge whether a conflict of interest has actually taken place. This subcommittee, whichever is the correct term, would comprise of 7 members, 2 of which are members of the Bylaws Committee, and 5 of which are non-parliament members. And of these 7 individuals, they would all cycle so that the same committee is not in place throughout the year, the semester. So the same people aren't deciding conflict of interest complaints. And the chair of this subcommittee must be a non-parliament member. So that means there would be a new chair per issue. And a quorum of 5, super quorum of 5 members out of the 7 would be needed to conduct business in the subcommittee. That was my motion.
There's 3 more on the list, and if that stays the same, we'll be voting soon. Next is Mr. Escobar.
I was in agreement to the Ethics Commission because I feel unethical behavior could extend past the executive board. So the Ethics Commission makes sense. However, Dr. King brought up a great point. Maybe this is just political posture. Then what are we doing? Then maybe the Ethics Commission doesn't make sense, and maybe a lot of what Deputy Speaker Laguerre said is that we just educate our parliament members what to do if they think conflict of interest is occurring. Then maybe our policy doesn't need to be changed, and maybe we just need to keep the same policy. And if we think something unethical is occurring, then you as a parliamentarian follow the proper procedure and make sure it gets taken care of.
Thank you. And just to let you guys know, it's not parliamentarian. I said it first. Mr. Lehman told me it's parliament representative.
I'm a parliamentarian.
He's a parliamentarian. We're all parliament representatives.
Okay.
Next on the list is Mr. Spinner. Okay. Ms. Corrali.
I'm just gonna add on to what Travis and Josh said. I do think it's important that as parliament representatives, that we know our role and we know the power that we have. But I also think, I really do think we need this ethics commission because I feel like we really do need to be held accountable for our actions. Like Mr. Lima said, that we talk a lot in the bylaws hearing about the perception and the stigma that people have against SCG, that, like, well, there's a big parade and all this other stuff we do. But I just feel like that's something that we should still address, and I think that this ethics commission will address that. And yeah, and I think it will address it, not only from a political imagery point of view. I think it's actually going to hold people accountable if it actually is, the infrastructure is set in place correctly. I think it will actually do its job of holding parliament members and those in power accountable for that.
Thank you, Ms. Corrali. Final person on the list. Ms. Rosales.
I just wanted to state that the reason why we're having such a problem is the conflict of interest only applies to voting and not influencing other members to vote a certain way. And that's our main thing that we're trying to change here, so that doesn't happen. But I don't think an ethics committee can stop that. So, that's just my point.
There's no one else on the list. So now we're going to be voting on Mr. Buckley's motion. I'm not sure if you want him to repeat it again.
Yes.
You repeat your motion, and then we'll be voting on
I motion that we create an ad hoc subcommittee of the Bylaws Commission, convened when a conflict of interest complaint is filed to the Bylaws Commission to judge whether a conflict of interest has actually taken place. This ad hoc subcommission would comprise of 7 members, 2 of which are members of the Bylaws Commission, that cycle, and 5 members who are non-parliament members, and will also cite per issue. These seats will be filled at each convening of the Ethics Commission per issue, not to comprise members of the preceding meeting. The chair must be a non-parliament member, and a super quorum of 5 members out of the 7 will be required to conduct business.
Point of information, and this is being sent to the Bylaws Commission?
This is being sent to the Bylaws Commission.
So you're voting to send this to the Bylaws Commission, not whether you agree or not.
I just feel like everybody doesn't know, like, yes or no, I think we should go right to handle with this issue.
We're going.
No, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, don't say yes, go right to the handle.
I'm gonna say all those people say aye.
No, don't do that.
No.
We handle.
He's asking for division.
So you want division?
Yes, thank
Okay. Mr. Howard.
My book over there.
So we're not voting whether we agree or disagree with what Mr. proposed.
To the Bylaws.
We're voting to Mr. Buckley's bylaws.
Point of order, Speaker.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
That's true and it's not true. We're voting whether or not we agree to send this to bylaws or not. If we voted not to, that means it could be amended further, it could be changed further, it could be voted down. So it's not just, oh, do you want to send it to bylaws? It's a simple question. It's not really, so it's not that simple. We're voting whether or not we.
That's the time.
Yeah.
Just
I'm gonna
to
do that
send it
after
to
this
bylaws,
Yeah.
to create a commission.
This is not a procedural vote. This is a vote of how you feel about the issue.
Order.
So does everyone understand what they're voting on?
I thought I did, but now I'm so
Can
confused.
you repeat it, please?
Yes. For example.
This isn't the final vote,
Yeah.
but in essence, you're saying you agree with it enough that it's worth investing the time to send it to bylaws commission to establish this ad hoc committee. And that's non-legalistic terms.
Everyone understand? Okay, we're going to a hand vote. All those, well, I guess all those in favor, put your hands up. And I'm sending it to bylaws and agreeing with it. Agreeing to putting in the effort to send it to bylaws. You're putting your hands up if you're agreeing with sending it to bylaws. Essentially, you're agreeing with it, but you're also agreeing with sending it to bylaws.
That's 2 things.
Well, it's complicated because we just created it.
Mr. Speaker, ask for a roll call vote.
Roll call vote. So,
I'd like to call order, please.
yes, so if this passes, bylaws
Okay.
will take it and set up the ethics committee. If it doesn't pass, we keep the meeting, we'll amend it, we'll just keep on, the discussion will continue. It feels like everyone does not understand still.
So basically, point of clarification, information, whatever. Basically, we are voting, where the heck am I? Page 6 of bylaws minutes, the or, with what he said.
Yes.
That's it. It would just, we're not making the decision. We did a little bit, and now we're just sending it off. So, yeah.
Sending his motion.
Yes, his motion of the ethics commission. So it's kind of like a little bit of the both, but it's
Yes.
more towards the or part.
Saying the bylaws and giving them direction of which to work with.
Yeah.
Understood.
Make any more sense?
And then after bylaws comes back
Yeah.
here for final guys, whatever.
If it passes. So we're going to a roll call.
Sally.
Okay, roll call.
Nigel Evangelista?
Yes.
Christopher Kelly?
No.
Lawrence Cunningham?
Yes.
Nicholas Lima?
Yes.
Jennifer Almeida?
No.
Aniki Ekumbalomo? No. Sean Andrews?
Abstain.
Adina?
Abstain.
Edwin Pratt?
Yeah.
Aaron Holland?
Yes.
Jeff? Kervin Leonidas? Jasmine Resendes?
No.
Christopher Volsey?
No.
Aaron Buckley?
Yes.
Cole Bentley?
Yes.
Amanda Dion?
Yes.
Shane Spinner?
Abstain.
Travis Escobar?
No.
Ariana Carvalho?
Yeah.
Jeremy Aguzzo?
No.
Thomas Lima?
Yes.
Sarah Joy Dooley?
No.
Gary Penfield?
He's out, present.
Scott Kane? Melissa Cantalina?
Yes.
Charles Pistola?
No.
Randy Jackson?
No.
I have the deciding vote. Order. So it's kind of powerful in the cycle. So before I make my vote, I have to make a little statement. I was discussing this with a policy representative earlier before the meeting, and we talked about whether this is a political move, whether people are just, voting a certain way because they don't want to be inhibited by having different positions in different groups. And I personally feel, due to what Dr. Kane said and due to the discussion that took place, I feel like the Ethics Commission is not what's needed. It's more or less an education for each of us to know what we can do. And also on top of that, just putting in a rule as to how we go about certain procedures, specifically a conflict. So, therefore, I vote no. Motion fails. Discussion continues. No one's on the list? Jasmine's on the list, Jasmine.
I would like a motion that we add to send to bylaws, I don't know how to word this right, that they go in depth on conflict of interest and give procedures instead of just giving an overview so that people can understand what's happening. That's obviously, there's a half and half going on and no one's really.
You're gonna have to, Mrs. Zendes, you're gonna have to state it the way you want it.
I know, but I'm just trying to get it out first. Because it seems there is a conflict of interest going on in Parliament where half wants to be on all these exec boards and half
have that idea in the future, so they're not gonna choose something against it. So instead of like just going through all of that, just make it where you, if you feel like there's a problem, now you know what to do. So however, it's what you said earlier. It's what you said earlier, however.
How would you like it to be worded? It's your motion.
Would this be sent to bylaws?
Yeah.
I would like to send to bylaws.
You can write it down.
Point of information, Mr. Speaker.
Yes,
It
Mr.
helps to
Speaker.
write it
So
down.
you're asking to send just basically the conflict of interest portion of the bylaws, not the ethics commission portion?
Yeah, to be revised in,
That's right.
revised so it goes in there. And clarified.
So your motion is to send the conflict of interest policy back to bylaws and revise in depth.
Yes.
Second?
Second. Discussion. A motion by Ms. Rosandi, seconded by Ms. Almeida. Discussion. Mr. Harlan.
So we're sending the current confidential policy bylaws for revision?
Yes.
So not the ethics commission, but the current conflict of interest policy?
Yes.
I second.
Ms.
It's what
Almeida.
I'm saying.
Oh.
Her motion is to send the conflict of interest policy back to bylaws to be revised in depth. That's the word. Yes.
It's more like revised through explanation and clarification, so people can understand, this is what, conflict of interest is about, and this is what you do if you find this problem, and this is who you take it to, so that they know the steps and that they can make a change.
Good. Okay. All right. I would ask that you attend our next meeting.
Depends on what time it's gonna be scheduled.
Okay, you schedule
During
it.
the class.
Let's go. All right, next on the list is Mr. Escobar.
May I just advise that you write like the proposal up of what maybe some changes you would like to see?
No,
No?
because I did that last time and bylaws did not even take into consideration, so I won't do that
So
again.
you just want to be there and just make sure, like, I just want to get more clarification of what you want to try and get done.
Is that all? Yes,
So you're just gonna debate with bylaws what should get done in your point of view?
They're just gonna reword and, not reword, clarify and explain and go from there. This is what bylaws are supposed to do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Escobar. Next one is Mr. Lima Tom.
Yes, I was in favor of forming a commission, but like Dr. Kane said, I mean, there really hasn't been any recorded conflicts of interest. But I do think, you know, the conflict of interest policy needs to get more in depth, and Parliament members need to know what to do if they think something, you know, fishy is going on. But also, you know, there's other policies that may also need that kind of in detail explanation. Let's put it down there for now, but for now I'm in full support of, you know, more detail on the current conflict of interest policy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Dr. Kane.
Yeah, I appreciate the motion. I'm just not sure that's going to get it done. Again, I think one of the issues that you had originally brought up, Jasmine, when you sort of made the original bylaw amendment, was that there's this perception by students in other organizations that somehow there is a conflict of interest, even though nobody's ever filed a conflict of interest complaint against anybody. But somehow other groups, other organizations, other people in other organizations, not everybody, but some people feel like there's this conflict of interest because of some members of the executive council are also members of executive councils of other organizations. And that's a perception thing, because it's not, you know, there haven't been any complaints filed. And so I guess my question is, with this new motion, does that address the perception issue? And if it does, I think you'd want to send it to bylaws. But if you don't think that it does, then I don't think that we're any further ahead.
The reason why I changed the motion was just the fact that SCG does have a conflict of interest, and I feel that arguing done, so the next people can understand, okay, this is what I have to do. Because I don't think by just sending it to Ballard, they're not gonna do anything. Like, I tried. I really did. You know, that's what happened. I tried, and then it's like everyone shoots it down. Obviously, there's something going on. You know, and no one emailed me saying, oh, come back and talk about how you feel, give your spirit of it. So, that's just how it goes. But it won't change the perception. We do have a conflict of interest, and it's gonna show, just for the fact that we voted this down.
So, I guess my question then to you would be, because I think Parliament has the right to reject bylaws recommendations, that why not just repropose your original amendment?
Point of information?
Yes, Mr. Andrews.
As far as I know, any student can reject any motion made by this body, can object to any motion made by this body, or anything else. How does that work, Mr. Lehman?
Via petition, yes. Via petition by a certain percentage of the student body.
But you can oppose something done by anybody, right?
Via petition, yes.
All right. Thank you.
With certain commissions, it's easier, like the finance commission, you can just be a student, just oppose yourself, but to oppose any voter would be like get a petition of like a certain number of signatures to force us to discuss.
That's so you're just gonna go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and you're just gonna keep working harder and trying to get something done, and you're just gonna keep coming to a brick wall. Everyone's just gonna keep saying no, or we're gonna change the meeting date, or we're gonna make meetings where no one can go, or the ones are is against it, and they haven't even took into consideration all the people that came in favor of it. Because if only 2 people were against it, and everyone was in favor of it, what was being voted on was, I don't know, that's just me.
Well, no, I think I'd be,
Next on the list is Mr. Speaker.
I feel that the credibility of the bylaws commission's decisions has been attacked somewhat, so I respond to that. The commission didn't just consider how many people testified. I think it was 5-2. It's not really, it wasn't 50-2, but the commission said what the people who testified said. I think they gave that more weight than the fact that it was 5-2. And the only people that testified in favor of the proposal were Parliament members, and one of the people that testified against it was a non-Parliament member. I think, that also carried weight as well, that a non-Parliament member decided to come up and testify against it. In regards to the original spirit that really got us down this road in the first place, 4 or 6 weeks ago, whatever it was, when it first came up to Parliament, I think that Mr. Zende's proposal gave us the bylaws commission certainly enough leeway to add a provision to the conflict of interest statement, not just to deal with conflict of interest, but what to do if evidence has been found that the executive council member is abusing their position and just pressuring people outside to vote a certain way. And I think that perception that is going on or can go on is what the original spirit is. And if we're going to correct that, I think this is the opportunity to correct it. This is the procedure that we have to correct it by saying to the bylaws commission and having the bylaws commission look at it and say, is it a good idea or is it a bad idea? Last time they looked at it and listened to all the evidence, and they did listen to all the evidence and take it all into consideration. They debated it very heavily. And I know the bylaws commission members who were present can attest to that. They voted 0-6 to say that the original provision wasn't a good idea, but yes, we do need to do something. And that's why we brought this back here tonight. In regards to the ability for people to attend, that's why we held 3 open forums at different times on different days to give as many students an opportunity to attend as possible.
Mr. Speaker, last on the list, Mr. Andrews.
Okay, Mr. Zendes, I don't think the bylaws did was malicious, because whatever is done, whatever meeting times are chosen, it has to be done to suit the commission, because the commission members are the ones making the decision. So I don't think it's fair to accuse them of doing anything malicious, such as setting a meeting where you specifically couldn't be at it. Now,
Point of information, I was more saying that scheduling during class time and scheduling on Fridays when students aren't around and can't attend. Shouldn't that be the main issue? People are coming to testify.
point of order, you weren't recognized.
Mr. Andrews has the floor.
What I will say is, I do agree on the idea that this is going to keep going and going and going I would like to make a friendly amendment, however, that at the next meeting, we have a review, we have an agenda item that reviews what the conflict of interest policy is. Because I think it is true, there's a lot of things that we don't know about our own bylaws, and we are parliament representatives. So that's another issue altogether, but I think with this one, we should review it, take a look at it, have everybody learn it, and understand what it means. But if there is somebody abusing their power, I'm pretty sure this body is competent enough to notice when someone is abusing their power. And for someone to believe that we're not competent, that person themselves, as being a part of this body, probably isn't that competent themselves to recognize it. But I do think we need to review the conflict of interest policy just for peace of mind at least. And honestly, I went in favor of the motion, but truthfully, I thought about it, and we have to think about who is involved on this campus. The large amount of people here are board members of organizations. This question, straw poll, who here has an executive board position on any organization or has held one in the past? So let's just who's involved. So most likely, when you get people on parliament, you're going to get people who are on executive boards because they want to take it to the next level and they want to be involved on another level on campus. So, add my friendly amendment, and that's my piece.
Well,
actually, can I
give that? Does that accept that?
No.
Everyone has to follow.
Oh, okay. So Parliament has to accept that as a friendly amendment.
Parliament?
There's one objection.
Maybe state
Can you speak?
Order, Speaker, so everyone understands the friendly amendment, because the motion's been made and seconded, it's the property of the body, therefore any friendly amendment to the motion has to be accepted by unanimous consent of the body. If there's any objection, then the motion must be made as a formal amendment.
I would like to make a friendly amendment that we have an agenda item added next meeting under, I don't know, new old business, that overviews conflict of interest for parliament members. Nothing short. If we have to put a time limit on it, put a time limit on it. But if people need to know what a conflict of interest is, let's not draw this out. Let's tell them what it is. If we need to clarify that, that's what bylaws is that's what the job of bylaws is, to clarify those issues. I'm pretty confident that they will look into it and clarify it for us at the next meeting. Are we in agreement?
Is there any objection to Mr. Andrews' friendly amendment?
Well, can I?
Just, all right, so. Mr. Andrews, no objection.
Can we look at the discussion?
Well, there's a list. It's still a list.
There may be no discussion on the friendly amendment unless a formal amendment is made.
Next on the list, Mrs. Dooley.
I, through all this insanity, have realized that I am so not aware of what the proper procedure would be should there be a conflict of interest that I'm aware of. So I'm wondering if we're all just wasting, and I'm sorry to be saying this out of order or not the right terminology, but I'm wondering if we're all wasting crazy time until we go back and find out what in fact the proper procedure is. And then if we need to send it to bylaws, we do that. How about we all go home and read it? If we have questions, we go to Mr. Limo who has all the answers, and then we send it wherever. And I mean no disrespect, I know what your intentions are fantastic, but we're doing this and we're just crashing into each other. And I think most of us would agree that we don't know what the proper way of handling this is. So let's go research it, and then if we need to, bring it to bylaws.
Is that, in essence, are you trying to payroll? Is that a motion?
No.
That's a motion.
Second.
Oh.
I don't know.
There's already a motion on the table.
Okay, point of information.
State your point.
Even though you want us to go back and read it, it won't really help because a lot of people don't get what you're reading. And if it was clarified, and some people was and they clarified it, we discussed the procedure, then it's done. But just remember, Nick also went, sorry, he went over point of information, point of inquiry, and the other one, and no one remembers it.
Right.
So there's
I
no
remember
point.
Point of order. That was not, I believe a point of information should be stated in the form of a question.
Sorry.
What is such
I
and
didn't know,
such?
see, I didn't know.
Online. Well, just take notes.
Here's my suggestion. It seems like now, it seems like order. It seems like now everyone's starting to really think about whether we actually know what we can do or not. So I know some of us like to do homework, some of us don't. Next week is spring break. I can make a suggestion. Take your bylaws, read them. Take your little parliamentary packet, look at it. You have a week. If you're going away, I don't know what to tell you, but if you're not, look at your bylaws, because apparently most of us don't know what we can do without our powers. So Mrs. Dooley, your motion was to table what exactly?
My motion is you all shoot me if I table this after an hour and 45 minutes of circles.
No.
So my motion is to,
Table a motion.
Table Jasmine's motion?
I take it back, because I'm I'm sorry, I have no idea what to do, you guys drive me crazy.
You can motion to table, you can motion to table Jasmine.
I give you much to Jeremy.
How do you for it?
Point of order, discussion.
Order, please.
Jaz's motion says that the bylaw, the motion to table it would kill it and just bring it back to Parliament in 2 weeks.
Oh, no.
Thank you.
Can you just send it to bylaws? Like,
That's the motion.
that's it.
The motion is to send it to bylaws. It's
From-
already been seconded.
Can we
You are order. This is discussion. This is discussion. We motion to send to bylaws, it's already seconded. After the process is a discussion and then you go yea or nay. To send the conflict of interest policy back to bylaws. That's the motion.
Yeah.
Well, we have 4 on the list, and the list is growing. We're not talking about any, this is continuing. He has to clarification.
Point of order?
Yes.
A lot of conversation. Just said point of order, there's a lot of conversation going on. Can't even
Well, I
hear
didn't
what
get all
you're
your cards. Get your cards up there if you wanted.
Point of inquiry.
Yes, Mr. Clark.
Mr. Speaker, does anybody in this room have a copy of the current conflict of interest policy?
Point of information, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, people do, and I believe everyone should have a copy, because everyone gets a copy upon being a Parliament, which is granted them at all meetings.
Can,
Do we have any extra copies?
yeah.
Well, we have 2
The
new
new
Parliament
members have
members
it, and
who
fully
I think was given a
that's
copy.
guaranteed.
Okay.
Pass out.
Let me see that. Thank you so much.
Now, some of you guys have your cards up. I didn't get everyone yet.
Is that your card?
My card is over there, bro. Bring out the card.
Dr. Bethany Lewis would like to be on the list. What do you want to know? You'll set. You're actually next.
Okay, whoever calls first, call the question.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Andrews. Next on the list is order. Next on the list is Mr. Holland.
I think, first, I would like to just make a point of information. I know you had mentioned Chief Boise, there's a conflict of interest within the government, but just to clarify, she said there were no public hearings at Fridays. Public hearings were on Tuesday, Thursday, and Monday. There were no public hearings on Fridays. So just to clarify, I think that's what she said. And then also, can I just call this to order so we can vote on this? I'd like to, sorry, I would like to call the question so we can vote on this.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Holland, seconded by Mr. Speaker. To call the question, and two-thirds vote, two-thirds majority vote. The question is to send
Whether or not to vote to call the question.
whether or not
Mr. Holland's motion is whether or not to end debate, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a procedural vote.
So, all those in favor of calling the question, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstain. Motion passes. All right. The original motion is to send the conflict of interest policy back to bylaws so it can be looked at in depth. It's the motion.
Thank you.
Revise it. It's called the question call. Revise it in depth. So, we already had discussion. All those in favor of sending the bylaws, the conflict of interest policy back to bylaws, say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Mrs. Dooley opposes, Mr. Rossi opposes. Ms. Almeida.
Division, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, and vote. No roll call. All those in favor, hands up, say aye.
Wait, say it one more time.
Okay,
Can we
all
say-
those in favor of sending the conflict of interest policy to be revised in depth back to bylaws, put your hand up. That's, put it up high. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All those who are against that, hands up. Hands up. 1. 7. Abstain? Those abstain?
You have two.
2. Motion passes. That concludes discussion.
Can I just read it though? I'm reading it. It's
That's why I
interesting.
said don't send it.
It's actually pretty interesting, in case you want to read it.
If anyone wants to read it, he certainly has it, you can look at it during the recess. Again, this is a 5-minute recess.
Bentley, can you talk about
Yeah.
James, come to order. All right, close meeting back to order. And one late meeting, first I just want to reiterate what Mr. Laguerre said over the break. And if you don't have a copy, get one from the office. Review our bylaws, review our policies. We have plenty of copies available, and we gave you all copies beginning the following term. And I think I probably said it 5 or 6 times as speaker, and only last year 2 as president, to review your, I give you that one side before, so I don't think anyone's really, or not anyone, but most of you have really picking me up on that offer. But I think after this debate tonight, it's clear that you really need to. It's important for you to at least be familiar with the rules that we operate under. You know, we avoid 2-hour debates sometimes about something that we really don't need to be debating, or maybe we do, but at least review the rules that Mr. Laguerre suggested, and I have suggested repeatedly. Dear Parliament members, I would like to request an early leave because I'm not feeling well. I have to work very early in the morning. Thank you, Amanda Dion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Laguerre, seconded by Mr. Buckley. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All those in favor of approving the early leave, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Motion carries. Our next order of business is item 9 on your agenda, updates and remarks, administration update, Dr. Gary Penfield. Dr. Penfield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have 2 items I'd like to talk about. The first one is the snow event that we all experienced on Monday, and I'm curious in terms of getting some feedback. How many of you discovered that classes were canceled by watching TV? How many of you got the text message? And that's how you discovered it?
It was, you guys texting friends?
Dr. Penfield has the floor, is asking a straw poll.
Are you sure it was a text message? Because there was also an email message.
I got the email.
You got the email message. How many of you called the Rhode Island College number? What was the number you called?
9500.
Got it, 9500, which is in all the publications. Raise your hands again, how many of you called the number?
I called that first, I didn't.
So, yeah, okay, so the number, what I'm seeing, I guess, is that just about everybody's accounted for either by the number or by a text message, which would have been the last item to come out, because there were problems with that, or the email. The number was first.
It was on the Ric website.
The website.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. Okay. So none of you paid any attention to the media, then, the TV stations. Or anything like that.
Turn to 10.
Sorry, Eric?
Turn to 10.
Turn to 10?
The internet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the text message.
I was interested in that because, in fact, we had some confusion at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning in terms of making the decision. You know, there were 3 decisions made. The first one was to cancel classes for the morning, and then the next decision was to cancel classes for the afternoon. That is up till 4 o'clock, I guess. And then the next decision, which was made at about 12:30, was to cancel classes for the evening. Now, the problem with these things is every snow event has its own dimensions. Nothing is exactly the same one from another. But President Carriola, this was her first experience in terms of having to make these decisions. And our general feeling is that we didn't do a very good job administratively in terms of making those decisions. And we've spent time talking about it, and we're attempting now to follow up for ourselves to write better protocol in terms of timing and communicating and letting people know how we're going to communicate so that you can check. But that's why I was curious as to how you got the information that classes were canceled. And so, down the road, I mean, my guess is that this is probably about the last snow event this year we're going to have, or whether it's going to go up, or it's going to go away. Spring is going to be here when you come back from spring break, or whatever. I do also want to say, however, that the fact that the decision was made to cancel classes for the entire day allowed the crew from physical plant to focus on the cleanup, which was quite immense. And there were some problems there as well. Number one, a couple of the people that normally would be involved in that were out because they had medical procedures that had been scheduled long ago. And so we didn't have the usual crew. Secondly, the equipment that we used, two major pieces of equipment failed in the morning and had to be worked on because we don't have the resources to have good, up-to-date equipment. There's not a lot we can do about that right now, folks. We just don't have the resources. However, the people that did work, including the director of physical plant, worked through till 2 o'clock the next morning. Mr. Grady was here until 2 o'clock in the morning. In fact, you may not know this, and I know some people have generally had comments about how physical plant reacts to a variety of situations. But I know that Mr. Brady was over midnight shoveling some of the walks over by the residence halls that had not gotten shoveled, including handicap access to Sweet Hall. So I just wanted you to know that things happen when you get involved in these kinds of events that make it a bit difficult on the institution. And part of our issue is that we don't have the resources. We spent, however, a lot of money through this process trying to get everything set up for Tuesday morning. When was Tuesday? Yesterday morning, in terms of the parking lots and so on. We probably spent more money on this storm than we did on any of the others, and it's money that we don't have to spend. So that's always an issue, but we felt that given that there were no classes and that we had these other problems, we had to keep going no matter what the cost was and then deal with it later on. So anyway, I just thought that you'd like to, first of all, you've helped by giving me the responses because I can take that back to the rest of the discussion, but I wanted you to know that, that when these things happen, not everything goes smoothly when you try to respond to it, so that you can help get the word out to other students too, and help people understand that the people responsible do the best job that they can, but nothing's perfect. My second item has to do with the Donovan Dining Center. I mentioned a couple times the renovation project to create, to redo the serving area, create a grab-and-go area. And it occurred to me that I could bring some, this is from the architect that did help us do the feasibility study. We went out to bid for the formal architects a week ago. Yesterday, a couple of you know this, yesterday we had a pre-bid hearing for architects to come in and ask questions so they can get the information they need to make their proposals. They have to make their proposals to us by next Monday, and then we meet on Tuesday and Wednesday to review the proposals and make a decision on an architect. This is a we have what's called ad alternates. Totally, it's possible that the project, because it involves a new generator so that we have 24/7 electricity if the power goes out, it's possible that the total project will cost as much as $1.9 million, but the main interior project of the serving area is a little over $1 million. But you can see some of the renderings for the service area. There's going to be a, where is the entrance? That's the inside, it's inside. Well, I think it's right there. Yeah, it's coming in right there. I'm on the inside, and you can look at these afterwards. But this is the entrance, and when you come in to the entrance, the grab and go will be on your left, so that for people that want to grab and go, they'll just go down the left, be able to pick up whatever they want, and there'll be a register right there for them. And then the other areas will be redesigned. Areas now near the registers where there's walls and storage rooms, those are coming out, and the serving area is going to be expanded. There, the back of Donovan Dining Center outside, there's going to be a new storage area created, because you can't take away storage space and get along without it, so there's a new storage space created. This is the outside and these are renderings, the college seal. And for special events, there'll be a special stage that will be part of that. Another ad alternate is all new carpeting on the downstairs area. That's getting dated. It's time to change that. So anyway, I thought you'd like to see that. And there's the entrance. I knew I had it right there. It's when you come in up the stairs and in the door, instead of coming around to go in the entrance, you'll be able to go where you drop off your dishes now. That'll be recreated. You'll be able to go straight in that way into the serving area, and then come out at the other end. And then this is the visual diagram of the serving area. So anyway, I thought you'd like to see that. The project is time sensitive in that we have to feed people, and so we've told, and I think we had over 30 architects show up, so it shows you that probably people are hungry. But we've told them this is a project that if there are no complications and it's awarded, the work has to start the day after commencement, and all of the work has to be completed by August 15th, because we have to open up to serve students in the fall, and there's no way that we can be in a position where we can't have the service area. So that's the time-sensitive part of it, and it will be a huge challenge to meet that. And once we get the proposals in and look at them and see what they say, then we'll have a better idea as to whether it's doable under the time-sensitive issue that we have, or if we're going to have to break it up into parts and do it in parts. Any questions?
Mr. Bauer?
My question is not actually about that. It's about why you guys felt like you guys, and how you responded to the snowstorm on Monday. Why you guys feel that you guys didn't respond correctly, or I don't know. You guys didn't, from what I understand, you felt like.
I think you said we didn't do a good job.
Yeah, why do you feel like you guys didn't do a good job, basically?
We did not get the word out in as timely a fashion as we had expected when we talked Sunday night. We thought, and this is in terms of working with the media, we thought that once we made any decision and we communicated that to the media, that is the TV stations and so on, that, you know, that thing you look on TV, the continuous loop? We thought when we called, it instantly went into the loop. It doesn't. You have to notify them by a certain time, like 5:15 in the morning, to get into that loop. So if you were watching Channel 10, as I was, at 5:45, I guess it was, Frank Coletta, actually, it wasn't in the loop. He came on and about every 10 or 15 minutes made the announcement, said, I've just been handed a note, there's another closing that's not on the loop. It's Rhode Island College, and they're closed for morning classes, and they'll make a decision later on about afternoon classes. Well, those are pieces that we just didn't understand how they work. So we now understand that. Secondly, when we made the decision to close for the morning, you know, this snowstorm, I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I live in Smithfield, and there really wasn't a lot of snow that had accumulated at 3 o'clock in the morning. The intensity of the storm arrived right around 5 o'clock and on. And so by the time the word got out, the president makes these decisions in consultation, but by the time she made the decision and the word got out and she got up to the office, she had about 150 to 200 phone calls from angry people, for the most part angry, she told me, saying, why'd you just cancel in the morning? Look at the conditions. And of course, some people didn't get the word and they came to 8 o'clock classes. So there were some angry emails and calls about people who came to 8 o'clock classes. And of course, it's an issue of safety for people when you've got that kind of a snowstorm going on at that time. And so people want to know. I mean, the bottom line is our aim is to try for hereafter, we're going to try to guarantee that we always have the decision made and activated by 6 a.m. in the morning. Because our position is, if you tell people to call the 9500 number or go on the website for 6 o'clock, then you better have something on there for 6 o'clock that gives specific directions. So anyway, we don't give ourselves a good grade on this one. We think there's room for improvement. But in the discussions, I'm always the one that says, listen, you know, these are no-win situations because the circumstances are always different. And so no matter what you do, there's going to be somebody that's going to be upset with you. But the bottom line is that doesn't mean that you don't try to have certain protocols and that you meet those conditions that you set in the protocol. So anyway, that gives you a little more information as to what was going on.
I actually thought you said a good idea. I received a text, and my friends received a text from me, notifying them that there was no classes.
Yeah, the text actually, what we discovered there, because we're talking about, you know, we have your text number because you gave us your information. But when you do text messaging, because the text that we send out has to go to all of the carriers, and there's delays when they go to the carriers. It doesn't go instantaneous. That's another thing that we learned. We knew there was a delay, but we thought the delay was a matter of seconds or a couple minutes. In fact, some of the carriers, it could be as much as a half hour. So that's another piece, because we're looking at the text messages for other kinds of emergencies that go on campuses to communicate.
That was a good idea.
Yeah, so we're working on that as well. Anyway, any other questions? Aaron, did you have a question?
Mr. Gumbo.
I want to know my name wasn't on the text database. I want to know how I can do that. Get my number on there. So I get text next time.
Right.
Right.
And also, I was wondering, a lot of other schools in the area, they cancel classes relatively soon, and they also do it frequently. I've noticed that Rick hardly ever cancels classes. That's why Monday was a shock that you guys haven't canceled it. And I want to know on what basis do you guys determine whether the class gets canceled?
Well, the decision to cancel classes, of course, would be made by the president if the president's here. And the previous president before this year was a person who never wanted to cancel classes. His idea was that each person should make his or her own decision based upon conditions having to do with safety, but that the college would have classes no matter what. That didn't work well either. I mean, we had a lot of complaints about that. But this president looks at it differently, and so she would like to work toward having a better understanding among ourselves first as to how we're going to deal with emergency storms and things like that. And secondly, have a better awareness among the entire campus community as to when and how you can get information when something happens. My sense is under this president, you'll find that if the conditions are right, we'll go ahead and cancel classes, at least daytime. I think there's a difference between making the decision for day classes versus night classes, because we do have a slightly different clientele in the night classes, and circumstances change from 5 o'clock in the morning to 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So you could have a disaster at 5 o'clock in the morning, but everything is cleared up by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There are people who say, well, no, well, we should still make a separate decision between morning and afternoon classes. But my own view, as expressed in the discussion, was if you cancel classes in the morning up until noon, people are going to wonder why you just don't cancel them up until 4 o'clock. Because people that don't come to classes, if they have classes at 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock in the morning, probably are going to say, well, things are still not good, I'm not going to go to my 2 o'clock class in the afternoon. They're already all canceled. But not everybody agreed with my point of view on that, so I don't know yet how that will transpire. And of course, as the president said, well, Gary, that's all fine, but as you said earlier, every crisis has its own dimensions, and so you've got to always keep an open mind on that. So anyway, these things are never easy, but the bottom line is that we think we learned on Monday, and we think from learning a little bit, we can work on it and do a little better job next time around. And I should be careful to say that, because next time around will come, and you all will probably say, boy, you didn't do a better job, you did a worse job.
All right, first I'll say, this is Rhode Island, this is New England, we've had snow in April, so don't kind of take a quote yet. Second, I think it was fantastic. I was actually a little shocked that I got a text message. I received both of them. Edward and Dina, Travis, and Mariam were not here last year to experience that fiasco, but I remember having to walk home because Ripta couldn't get up the hill. So I live on the east side of Providence, so it was good exercise. But
you made it home before people that tried to drive home.
Yeah, I know. I will by some of my friends. But my point is, I think it was great. The fact that I was able to take the bus in that weather, that just made life a lot easier. I have to, give physical plant a lot more credit now, because I guess through this winter, I think it's a trend now. People know how to clean sidewalks and clean streets in Rhode Island a little bit better because we've had so much snow. But I think that the campus did a fantastic job this year. And I'm pretty sure everybody who was here for Snow Fiasco 2007 can agree. Because
I broke home in that.
Yeah, how long did you wait?
What?
I drove back in
Q5.
Administrative updates, questions for the administration, not for statements. I'm sure they accept that they appreciate the praise. It is 10:30. We want to try and move things along. All set, Mr. Andrews?
Yeah.
Mrs. Beth?
Good job, I said it's right here.
Mr. Howell?
My question was about Donovan. So you're planning on hoping to have this done by August 15th?
Correct.
Thank you, just one clarification.
All set, Dr. Beckfield?
Thank you.
Moving on to faculty update. We got one leave earlier. I think I left it upstairs. For Dr. Derek Nicholas, he requested a leave for tonight's meeting. I'm not sure if it was because he said he had surgery or he had an injury, one of the two. But it was a very legitimate leave, so I entertain a motion.
Second.
Motion.
I'll entertain a motion. Motion is made by Mr. Evangelista, seconded by Mr. Resendez. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Abstention. Mr. Andrews opposes. Abstentions. The ayes seem to have it, they do have it, motion passes. Next order of business is staff update, Ms. Weiss, she's not here, dean of students, Dr. Scott Kane, Dr. Kane.
All of this talk of snow makes me think of spring break, and so I just wish everybody a happy spring break. Anybody going away for spring break, go away safely. Be safe.
Thank you, Dr. King. We had exciting spring break party tomorrow night at the Rough Snow Tavern. Appointments, resignations, and vacancies. Mr. Acting President.
I just have 2 resignations and 1 appointment, so I'll try to get this really quick. Dear President Bonanno, it is with great regret that I offer my resignation as Spring Community Government. It's been a decision I've been weighing for some time now. I pride myself on the enthusiasm and energy I bring to my classes and the commitments I take on. To health issues, I have not been able to bring this same rigor to Spring Community Government, leaving me feeling quite guilty. My efforts to bring the energy this group deserves has been unsuccessful. Your leadership and the representatives in Spring Community Government have consistently impressed me with the seriousness with which you attend to matters, often with great importance. I wish only circumstances were such that I could have played a greater role. Respectfully, Beth Lewis, PhD.
I'll entertain a motion. Motion's made by Mr. Kelly, second. Second by Mrs. Bentley. Discussion. All those in favor of accepting the resignation with regret, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Abstentions? With deep regret, motion carries.
Hey Chris, unfortunately due to my new schedule this semester, it will be impossible for me to attend any finance commission meetings, and therefore I must step down. Thank you for understanding. Sincerely, Hayden James.
Motion. Second.
Motion, is that a motion for what?
Motion
Without regret.
Okay. Motion made by Mr. McGovern.
It was accepted by finance.
Without regret, so we should keep with the tradition.
Yeah.
No, it was decided upon earlier with Mr. James.
Yeah, motion to accept without regret.
Well, there's no such thing. So. We don't need a motion to accept. He can resign whenever he wants. But if we still go in the minutes and it's regret, we put it in. If not, we just don't put it in.
All right.
So,
Let's not go.
no motion? Okay.
All right.
And
And I would like
unless someone wants to make the motion.
Motion. Second.
What is your motion?
Motion to whatever.
I was told that.
Motion to accept his resignation. Motion to do that.
All right.
Can we do it?
Clarify again. We don't need a motion to accept
Okay.
resignations.
I withdraw my
If
motion.
you want to accept it with regret, you need that motion to put in the minutes. So we regretfully
Withdraw my motion.
What's the withdraw?
Accept unanimous. Second.
Okay. All right, come on, please.
All right. Is there a motion? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Continue, Mr. Acting President.
I would like to appoint to finance with unanimous consent Travis Escobar.
I second that. I first did, no, I made a motion.
Here is no Mr. Escobar is appointed to finance. Any further appointments, resignations, or vacancies, Mr. Acting President?
No.
Thank you, Vice President Evangelista. Moving on to issues of Parliament members.
Wait, I have to send
Ms. Menendez.
Mine was just something that I brought up last week, Josh.
I remember. There has been no progress on that as of now because of the snow. There have been things that have occurred, so that's.
Okay, I understand that, but you will go through the process of emailing, so what does snow have to do with that?
Which means is the email took place. The response hasn't took place.
What are we talking about again?
We did have a meeting scheduled with Dr. Hawks to discuss some issues on Monday. So that would have been one of the items that we got.
All right, Ms. Cavalli.
Keep.
I just think that we all need to look at our packets to figure out what the specific missions are for. I think people think that bylaws is just that we send them into bylaws and then they just revise it, like edit or whatever, and that's it. That's bylaws. People don't understand the purpose of bylaws. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Go look for it. So I think we should just really need to look at the stuff that we've been given. So I think we have.
Thank you, Mr. Cavalli. Again, if anyone wants a packet, stop by the SCG office and Joe can give you that. Mr. Escobar.
I just want to say that I believe this semester that SCG has been more focusing on political banter, and whatever, political BS, than actually helping the students with their issues, which is conditions, services, and the rise of tuition. The raise of tuition, and I just feel that, I hope SCG, after this spring break and after this mental relaxation, that we get to the issues that the students actually care about.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Escobar.
Second, Mr. Escobar said.
Okay, I'm pretty sure everybody's noticed by now that there is a handicap accessible door on the Sky Bridge over here. Now, I want to remind everybody, last year we had several incidents where banners for the Rainbow Alliance had been torn down and damaged during, I believe it was...
Last spring.
Yeah, last spring in April. Now, the problem is, only one of the doors has an off switch for the doors. The other door, which is the main entrance from the student union over there, does not have an off switch. Anybody can access that, can access Donovan at any time because those doors are push throughs. So I would suggest that conditions and services look into this, speak with campus security. We don't want that happening again. And I mean, I love the idea that we have a handicapped accessible entrance, because for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why there wasn't one in the first place. But I think before we move on with that, it needs to be looked at as a security issue.
Mrs. Bentley and Mr. Howard.
I just like to say that I didn't even get a chance to oppose his resignation, his appointment. So I would like to go on the record for that.
I'm sorry?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry. Because I have been waiting to get on finance for frickin' ever. And seriously, I'm pissed. So that's, I just want to, for the record, it doesn't really matter. It's already went through.
I asked for unanimous consent and no one objected.
I tried. There was just a lot of out of orderness that I tried to bring to order that no one would listen to. So, for the record, I would just like to state that I object.
So noted in the record. Mr. Howard.
No offense.
First, Ms. Andrews, I'd like to ask you a question if you want. Which door are you talking about in this service to look at?
The doors on the Sky Bridge that are handicapped accessible.
What about?
They are a security risk.
Why is that?
Because it allows anybody who so chooses, if they're in the student union, let's say after hours, to go into Donovan Dining Center and do pretty much whatever they want. The opportunity is there. I mean, not to say that something's going to happen, but the fact is, it's happened before. And granted, it's a great addition, and it was long overdue. But I think it was done too hastily before all of the, before they did a, SWOT analysis. They looked at the strengths. They didn't look at the weaknesses, the opportunity, they looked at the opportunities, and they did not look at the weaknesses or the threats. And the issue with Rainbow last year is definitely a possibility again. So I believe that it's something that needs to be looked at.
Okay.
Mr. Howard.
I understand. I just had one more thing that I'd like to bring up. In reference to the last meeting, I'd like to just note that during one of the final discussion topics, when Mr. Bernardo was trying to appoint the co-webmasters, I tried to table an issue out of order, only because I was feeling tremendous time pressure at that point, because I knew my parents were waiting for me. So I'd like to apologize for making a motion out of order.
So noted in the minutes. Thank you, Mr. Howard. Mr. Butler.
I don't remember what it was. I passed.
Thank you, adjourn.
Second. That was it. Motion to adjourn.
Ms. Candelina is next on the list.
No.
We're talking about rules and procedures, and I was just wondering, because of what Nicole just said, is there a procedure in place on who gets appointed to committees that, I know that people sign up for certain committees, and they might be like 5 people want to be on finance. Who has the right to appoint Travis all of a sudden to be on it when there's other people involved? I was just wondering if there's...
I can answer that question.
I just wondered.
The answer is the president has the authority to appoint or dismiss members of committees at his pleasure, with the approval of Collins, majority vote of Collins.
And
as soon as I was on Parliament, of course, I'm very active. I went to go and sign up for the committee sheets. Finance committee was the one I requested first because I'm a.
All right, I'm gonna rule any further discussion on this out of order because.
I'm just saying,
I-
this has been a
I understand.
long time.
I understand. I can-
But before you.
Order, please.
All right. Out of order.
I will eject someone from the meeting, even if it's the end. I will eject someone from the meeting if you continue to speak out of order. This isn't the place to debate things back and forth, as I can see this going back and forth a few times. If you have an issue with who was appointed, it can be taken up with the president. It's his prerogative to appoint whoever he chooses. There's no waiting list, there's nothing like that. The president can appoint whoever he or she wishes, whenever he or she wishes to do them, so with the advice of the Senate Parliament. So if there are any further issues in Parliament other than that issue, I would not recognize any further than that issue. Mrs. Dooley.
Just really fast. I think it's easy for us to come up with negative stuff, but I just wanted to put a little kudos, a huge kudos into Kristen Salemi and Caroline and whoever else was in charge of the leadership this weekend. I wish to God there was more members of Parliament there. It was the most amazing. Forget all the fun. Like, yeah, the fun was great, but I learned so much to be beneficial to this body. So one thing that maybe me, maybe someone else will be bringing up at a later point is that it would be very beneficial to have it offered to particularly Parliament members. It was the most beneficial experience I've ever had. So I just want you guys to be open to that in the future next year, or if you ask around to find out what we learned. I rewrote my notes, and it sounds goofy nerdy, but if you guys are interested in any of that, it was just phenomenal. The speaker was right on target. So you guys who wanted to come but couldn't, please take advantage of it another time. It was amazing.
Thank you, Mrs. Dooley. Mr. Leonidas.
I forgot what I was gonna say, but it was amazing.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Who made the motion down there?
Yes.
David made the motion, it was seconded by Ms. Resendez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions, motion passes. Stay seated. Everyone take a seat. Everyone take a seat.
Parliament.
Stay seated and silent for roll call until Sally completes her roll. Thank you.
Mr. Banana, Michael Evangelista.
Here.
Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Lawrence Cunningham.
Here.
Nicholas Lima.
Here.
Jennifer Almeida.
Here.
Nikki Agapalomo. Sean Andrews.
Here.
Andina Nigeria. Edward Kraft. Aaron Holland.
Here.
Josh Fullager.
Here.
Irvin Leonidas.
Here.
Jessica Presenti. Christopher Bolton.
Here.
Al Buckley.
Here.
Nicole Bentley.
Here.
Amanda Dion. Tyler Patterson. Shane Stitter.
Here.
Hayden James. Travis Escobar.
Here.
Mariama Kabali.
Here.
Jeremy Agumba.
Here.
Thomas Lima.
Here.
Sarah Georgiuli.
Here.
Gary Penfield.
Here.
Derek Nicholas. Scott Kane.
Here.
Marissa Weiss. Melissa Pantolina.
Here.
Charles Nosowa.
Here.
Randy Jackson.